What is up, everybody? Saturday. Is it Sabato? Is Sabato Saturday in Spanish, or is that Sunday? That might be Sunday. Es Saturdeo. For my Spanish-speaking audience. You know, there's a dubbing thing that's going on now on YouTube where they dub these videos and they go out to other people in the world. And the dubbing, let's just say, it's a little sus. I can only imagine what my videos sound like dubbed. What's going on, guys? We took Thursday off. Because I was going to see a friend of mine, and we let this space play a rerun of my Wednesday show last week. And, I didn't really think that one through. Not that I'm ever, like I ever have a filter. But I would say I have more of a filter when I'm on this space than I have when I'm on this channel, because it's my channel. And I'm not trying to mess things up for Matt over there. Matt's a cool dude. So, I popped into the chat just to see what they were going to play of mine. And I saw that they were playing the replay that I was like, yeah, you guys are just replaying my show. And I was like, meh, well, all right. Well, they get to see me. That is me. It is me. So shout out to this space for replaying that. And also, shout out to anybody, that didn't get offended by my normal show. Love you guys. So went and did some stuff and hung out and had a great time and drank way too much alcohol. And, I indeed did not watch my Eagles get their asses handed to them by fucking Cam Scattaboo and Jackson Dart, who are turning out to be one of the more amusing duos to watch in football. I'm not even mad, to be honest with you. Watching two dudes play football like that. I saw the highlights. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even mad. I was actually pretty impressed. I was like, all right, that's good. That was good job on their part. The offensive coordinator needs to go for the Eagles, though. 100% the offensive coordinator, as always, needs to go for the Eagles. I ranted about this last week, so I'm not gonna rant about this again this week. But the offensive coordinator needs to go. Probably Nick Sirianni. I call for Nick Sirianni to be fired every 4 games. He's a bro coach. I don't think he really has anything to do with the actual running of the football team. But instead of watching that happen, I had drinks. I participated in public, had a good time, and so we're back. It's Saturday. We've got lots of things to talk about. I've spent the majority of my today. I got up and said I got to run. I haven't been working out probably for the last 4 or 5 months since summer. Haven't really lifted. I'll lift some weights here and there, but nothing like on a program or anything. And I was like, okay, let's go for a run. Let's see if I can do it. And I always doubt myself. And then I get out and I run and I'm like, nah, I still got it. I'm still good. So I ran a couple miles today, and then I spent some time in my live clip channel comments talking mad trash to MAGA as much as I can. And I thought about it, and I was like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to, because last week's Wednesday show was talking trash. Today's show going to be a bit of talking trash, because it's really what I do, right? It's what I do. And going through it and finding some of these videos, kind of got me to a point where I wanted to talk about a couple of things and why I do things the way I do things, and why I kind of feel like a lot of other people out there are picking it up and doing the same thing. I think I said last week, it's always sucks to be first. And I'm not saying I'm first. I mean, George Carlin was doing this a long time before I was. Bill Hicks was doing this a long time before I was. I think it just kind of fell out. It fell out of favor to be on the left and to talk trash to people. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that think that if you're on the left, that means you have to, to be this like super emotionally intelligent, overly empathetic, kind of soft language person. And I just don't think that that's true. I think that I can believe that women have a right to choose what they do with their bodies, and that you shouldn't be a racist piece of human garbage, and that fascism is bad, and still be me, still talk shit, still, make fun of people for the way they look, because I think there's lines to be drawn. I think when you are a person that is out there putting yourself out there and being an asshole, then if I make fun of you, then that is fair game. That is fair game. And I love that. And I'm always going to be that. And that's why I keep saying I have a real short shelf life on the left here, and how many people are going to be following me 4 years from now. Because I do believe that. I don't think that you have to be a perfect human being to be on the left. I don't think that you have to never make fun of people, never say something crass. Like, humans are flawed and imperfect. So I was having a good time in the comments today, and one of the things that makes me is that a lot of these MAGA commenters think they're coming in there and they're dealing with somebody on the left that's going to, attempt to, do the left wing debate, try to get you to believe what I believe, way of going about things. And I don't do that. I just make fun of you, and it's fun for me. It is. It's fun for me. So anyways, let's see who actually is still here in the chat today. I love you guys. I just want you guys to know that. Woke Mike, number 1 and number 2, always hogging both spots. See, I'm going to call shit how it is, okay? Woke Mike's a greedy bastard. Taking number 1 and number 2. What's happening, Roxanne? What's going on? 5 Alarm Fire. What's happening, 5 Alarm? Jeannie, what's up, Jeannie? Let's see. Who else is in here? Dean, what's going on, Dean? I like that you like my my hold music. I like my hold music too. It's one that I picked up out of just like a pack of royalty free audio, and I was like, this shit's dope. We're gonna use this one. What's happening, Sean? What's happening, Josh? What's going on, everybody? Everyone ready for AG to dress up for Halloween? I'm a king of the gingers. I will 100% get on stream. I have to take my kids out to trick or treat. One of them still likes us. One of our kids still likes to hang out with us every once in a while. Our other kid's old enough now that she's like, it's just our friends. They like go and hang out and stuff. They're too cool for school. We're old people now. We're embarrassing to be around. But the other one we gotta take out and go trick or treating. But I'll get on here. I'll dress up. We'll have a good time. Let's see. Who else is out there? Skelts! What's going on? Skelts? Let's see who else. Etch. What's happening? Etch. What is a VPN in Germany? I don't know what that. Sabato is Saturday. That's right. Domingo is Sunday. Thank you, Dean. Thank you. The Eagles did not win. The Eagles definitely did not win. Sean, I know that's why you're here. Thanks to people. Thanks. Appreciate you. Jeremy, what's happening, Jeremy? Christina, what's happening, Christina? Let's see. There's so much. It's so much to talk about. You forgot your popcorn? Go get your popcorn. We need popcorn. What's happening, Funkhauser? Yeah, I'm trying to pick up that mantle. I like that mantle. I'll wear it. It's heavy. What's up, Hylian? What's going on? Let's see. AG's like a thrift store. A treasure at bargain prices. Talking MAGA is a trash. It's all language spoken in a slow way for easy understanding. Use tiny words. Jeannie knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and that's I love all you guys. Yeah, Nathan, I know you've been subbing me for a while. I know you guys, all of you guys that have been following me for a while. It's no surprise to you who I am and how I do my thing. But sometimes I think, I wax and I wane. I like to sometimes try to be sensical and logical, and talk to people in a way to hopefully reach certain people. But certain people, I just don't think that it's worth my time or your time to try. I think that we got to be able to say when, I've said on this channel before, like with conservative people, if you want to sit down and you want to talk to me about like how our tax money is used, I'm happy to talk about that. You want to talk about whether or not the immigration system is broken or how it could be fixed? Yeah, I would love to talk to you about that. You want to talk about like, what place government plays and regulations and stuff like that. Those are all things that could be talked about. But that's not what MAGA Republicans like to talk about. MAGA Republicans generally just want to take things to the furthest of the extremes, and and they want to talk shit. So I'm gonna talk shit. So I think I've said it before, is that like I'm happy to engage with people in real conversations, but it just doesn't seem like there's many real conversations surrounding a lot of these subjects, because these subjects, when you talk about people being like kids being pulled out of apartments and zip tied and detained and arrested, like there's no real logical argument to have with the person there. If you support American citizens being arrested because they happen to occupy the same building as somebody that's an immigrant, like that's just, there's no discussion there. I'm just gonna make fun of you. It's just stupid. Like, that you would not be happy if a police officer kicked in your door, drug you outside, drug your kids out of their bed, zip tied them. And hearing these excuses from MAGA Republicans where they're like, well, that kid wasn't deported. They were just detained. Like, brother, can you hear the words coming out of your mouth? Like, you are okay with American citizens being arrested and detained for no reason at all, even if they're not deported, even if they're not criminally sentenced to anything. You should not be okay with that at all. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. And so that's why I think like sometimes there's stuff that, like we're going to be able to talk about with certain like center-right, conservative, libertarian people, right? And then there's just other shit that like it's just MAGA. MAGA is brain rot, dude. MAGA is, like you can literally watch whatever MAGA news outlet that you want, and then you can repeat like what they're gonna think based off of those things, right? And that's just brain rot, man. There's no arguing with that, and it's a waste of your time to do it. Like, I could show you, and I should show you guys someday, my the comments that YouTube quarantines from like people like death threats, people saying like just fucking just like going off like crazy stuff. It all looks like it's like a person with like a 27 IQ just fucking monkey typing on a keyboard. It doesn't make sense. It's just like angry words. One of the people earlier today that commented on one of my videos said something along the lines of like, Gavin Newsom's garbage, Trump's the best, blah, blah, blah. And so I click everybody's channel and go to their channel to see what they post and what their videos are and stuff. And I click this person, and it's literally a Taiwanese person with a fishing channel from Taiwan. And I'm like, bro, I know that you're not an American. I know you're just trolling. And the dude's like, yeah, my channel is kind of bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't argue with these people. It ain't worth your time. Just make fun of them. What's up, Pinkerbell? What's up, Pinkerbell? Just make fun of them. So I wanted to talk about that because, like I said, this puts me in a adversarial position with a lot of people on the left, because I do say, like, I don't think body shaming people is off limits. If I'm body shaming somebody that hasn't done anything, if I'm just sitting on stream making fun of some random person for being overweight, that's not cool, right? Like, I'm not down with that. I'm not going to sit here and just talk shit about, like, random-ass people that haven't done anything to me, you know? Like, I don't know. If you got some crazy makeup, though, I'm going to make fun of that shit. But if you're going to open your mouth and you're going to talk shit to me, then nothing's off limits, man. You going to talk shit to me, you better not be 300 pounds. I'm going to talk about how you ate your children, you know? Like people, and the funny thing about that is, like, I'm 100% with it. Like, you can come and make fun of me as much as you want. It ain't going to hurt my feelings. I've told you guys the story before. Being a redhead, being a ginger, I've been made fun of my whole goddamn life. I got thick-ass skin. One of the funniest things that I ever heard in my life was my aunt, who, my best friend's mom, she was related to Hell's Angels, so she was a gnarly-ass lady. And she was funny, too. She was mean and she was funny. And she said, hey, you know what? You got really pretty red hair. And I was like, oh, thank you, Aunt Vicky. That's really nice of you. And then she looked at me and she goes, too bad girls don't like redheads. And then she walked off and I was like, oh, fuck. That's how I am. That's how, like, you know, like, if you put yourself out there, you can get made fun of. And MAGA puts themselves out there, and they deserve to be mocked and made fun of for the brain rot, crazy ass shit they believe. That's the rules, man. Just like when Jasmine Crockett called old fucking what was it? Not Paxton, the other one, Greg Abbott, Governor Hot Wheels, and the left. We don't make fun of people in wheelchairs. Yeah, that motherfucker in a wheelchair? Yeah, I make fun of that motherfucker in a wheelchair, and I ain't got no problem with it. Zero. I won't let nobody make me feel bad about it. Not left, not right, not center. I wouldn't let my own mom make me feel bad about it. My wife might be able to. She's pretty good at it. But, like, I'm real about that. Like, the left worries too much about playing by these rules while the right doesn't have any concerns about fucking breaking them, right? So I'm done with that. I mean, I never have been with that, but I just wanted to say that because, you know, like I said, I played that This Space video, a little bit of it, and I was like, I don't know if these people are ready for this. I don't know if they're ready for the unfiltered. Angry Ginger. What's happening, Dana? What's happening, Pinkerbell? What's happening, Mama? Like I said, every once in a while, some dude will come on here and I'll be talking shit about somebody's hair, you know, and somebody will say, they'll say in the comments, they'll go, how the fuck you gonna talk about people and their hair and you look like a penis? And I'm like, points. Last points. Alright, it shit don't hurt my feelings. I'm good with it. It's all right, you know. If you're gonna be out here, you're gonna be doing this. You gotta be able to take it too. But for me, man, that's the way I grew up. Like, and one of the things I have to say this about the left, and we're gonna get to the videos because, like I said, a lot of this is about exactly what I'm talking. So I'm leading into it. I have a reason for talking about this stuff, guys. I'm leading into it. One of the reasons I say that is for most of you that follow the channel. I talk about being a young kid, my best friend being black, and growing up around skinheads and peckerwoods and stuff, right? So I'm pretty sensitive about people using the N-word. And when I was younger, like, there'd be white dudes from the hood that like, you know, they hung out, they were around, they were cool, they had a N-word pass, and I never liked to use the word. I don't like to use the word. I think the word's ugly. I think that, you know, black people shouldn't use it, white people shouldn't use it. I don't think anybody should use it. But that's not, like, I had to learn something, and that was, there's this white boy named Doughboy, and he had just N-word. And I remember telling the dude, I was like, man, you say that shit one more time, I'm gonna sock you in the mouth, dude. I was like, I swear to God. And he was like, what? Like, I thought we were okay. And I was like, nah, man, I don't like you. And I remember having a couple of the black dudes around at that time, Tyrone Henry, a couple of the dudes, Roy, and those guys being like, nah, it's okay. Like, that's not your job. That's not your job. He's cool with us. And me being like, it's just not cool for him to say that shit. And they're like, that ain't for you to say. Yeah, and that's why I realized, like, sometimes, you know, I see that on the left where people, they jump out to defend things that other people just, they're like, why are you doing that right now? You're making us all embarrassed. So I learned that. I learned that, like, you know, like, sometimes you got to be able to differentiate between what is acceptable and what isn't. And what you think isn't acceptable isn't always correct, and what you think is acceptable isn't always correct. But the one thing is for sure is that MAGA is full of fucking brain rot, and I can feel 10 toes down always talking shit to those people. They've made it really easy for me, actually. All right. The N-word that Trump fears is Nuremberg. Josh, 100%, my dude. Your kid's morphing into a ginger? I morphed out of a ginger. My hair was like fire engine red. I had way more hair. You guys are going to have to picture this, okay? I had way more hair. Maybe I'll get a picture when I was a kid, and I'll put that shit up at some point. But I had fire engine red hair, like the reddest of red hair. And then, like, when I hit probably like 20, it started turning like strawberry blonde, then it kind of went brown, and then my beard was red. It still is if I grow out the sides. The front's pretty white now. But yeah, I morphed out of it. All right. So let's do this. Let's get to what we're here for. You guys aren't here to just hear me ramble and talk about my childhood. Let's talk about it. So the thing I wanted to start with was just the other day, I was like, I heard AOC went on and told people to laugh at MAGA. And I was like, yeah, there you go. Like, this is what we need. Because if you guys remember when Jasmine Crockett called Abbott Governor Hot Wheels? And then, like, Schumer and Jeffries, like, pulled Jasmine Crockett aside. And, you know, she kind of came out and kind of apologized afterwards because they're like, that's not how we talk. You know, this is how we do it, you know. And I was like, don't do that. You got to stop doing that. You got to stop fucking chastising people within your own party. Like, she didn't do anything wrong. What she said was not mean. What she said was not some kind of crazy slur against disabled people. She made fun of a motherfucker that intentionally has taken rights from women and hates immigrants. Like, it's okay to make fun of that motherfucker. And it's cool to see that AOC was saying what I've been saying for 2 years. And that is, make fun of these people, laugh at these people. So I wanted to play this in case, I'm sure most of you have seen it, but this is the original video from AOC. And then we're going to go into what I think was a really cringe apology, and also a reaction from the left that I think actually instigated her apology. So this is AOC's original video here.
So much of our power right now is in witnessing, genuinely taking out your camera and filming interactions is very important, especially if ICE later on tries to claim that there was some huge riot and there was nothing at all in particular going on. It's important to have evidence of that. But also, I know this may sound a little silly, but humor is genuinely very important.
And give a little context to what she said there. I was just saying, these people that are showing up in frog suits in Portland, like, that is the way. Like, Donald Trump right now wants a physical reaction from the left. What Donald Trump wants right now, and this is all part of Project 2025, is Donald Trump wants the left to kill a cop. That's what he wants. He wants the left to attack a police officer and harm them, and then be able to do what he wants to do, right? And that puts the left in this really tough place, because right now it does feel like you need to in some way be out there doing something to show that you're not, going to just let this happen, right? That's what you intuitively think you need to do. But that's a trap right now. That's a trap, and that's what Trump wants from people. And so these I call them kids because everybody's a kid to me now, but these kids in these frog suits they're doing it right, man. They're making a clown show out of this. And they didn't make a clown show. This has been a clown show the whole time. But they're bringing it to the surface. They're showing people, like, look at how stupid this is. And at the same time, it's a fucking dope way to protect yourself from getting gassed. That's what she was just saying. She was saying, you know, the videotaping the protests and stuff like that and using humor. Like, this is the way, man. I've been saying it for 2 years. I'm not saying it's the only thing that we should be doing right now, but it is very important that people understand that the lane that I occupy is a lane where we mock and make fun of all the stupidity, because this is the dumbest timeline, and it should be pointed out that this shit that's going on is stupid.
These people want to seem all powerful. They want you afraid of them, and there is a lot to be afraid of. There is a lot at stake, and there is a lot of risk in this moment, but the last thing they want you to do is laugh at them. The last thing they want you to do is make fun of them.
And think about that for 1 second. They have actually been doing that to the left for a long time. I mean, we'll sit up here and say blue-haired liberal, right? Like, it's gotten to the point that they've been doing this for so long that they wanted to be able to monopolize that. They want to be the only people making fun of the left. They don't want the left pushing back and making fun of them, because there's a lot to fucking make fun of over there, right? Like, there's a ton to make fun of over there. But so they don't want you to laugh at them. They want you to think about the stereotypical Portland liberal. Like, isn't that funny? Blue-haired liberals with fucking gauge earrings and nose rings. And it's like, the funny thing is, I'm like, yeah, that is funny. It is funny. And I will laugh at people on the left too. But I'm going to laugh at your ass more right now because you're a bunch of fascists.
Because that diminishes them far more than them trying to stick a boot in your face.
And so, you know, this is, she goes on to obviously talk about Stephen Miller being 4'10". And I want to show this video because it's cut out here. Because why? Why is it cut out? Why does she not, like, stand on business? Why doesn't AOC say to everybody, yeah, I called that motherfucker 4'10"? He acts like a little bitch. That's why I called him that, right? It's because of what we're about to watch right here. And this is TYT. This is Jank and Anna. And watch, this is their response to her saying that about Stephen Miller being 4'10". They've just watched the clip, and this is their response.
Yeah, that's right. So now, after you laugh at them, what do you think their chances of voting for you are? 0. Okay, so world's worst political strategy. And if you say, hey, Cenk, she's talking about, you know, extreme right wingers and that are attacking our communities, etc. I get it, guys. But do you think that everyone gets it?
And he's right about that. He's actually right about that there are left-wing people that will literally be like, hey, I'm short. Yeah, you're short and you're also a fucking idiot. Let me go ahead and just say it. Let me say the thing that nobody else is going to say. If you are on the left and you are offended that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called Stephen fucking Pee-wee German Miller 4'10", you're like, hey, I'm 5'2" and that hurts my feelings. You're part of the fucking problem. You're a moron. Like, if somebody made fun of somebody on the right that was a ginger, I don't think there is, to be honest with you. And I know you guys are going to point out like 3 right now. I don't care. It's like, I wouldn't be sitting here if somebody is like, first of all, you ginger prick, all right, you ain't got no soul. You fucking, your face is filled with freckles. You can't go outside in the sunshine or you die from sun exposure. I'd be like, that's all true. I'd laugh my fucking ass off. If you're 4'10" and you got offended by AOC's comments about Stephen Miller, you're a moron. And that's the fucking problem, is this guy's now going to weaponize that and say to AOC, yeah, well, can't you see that there's people on the left that are going to get offended by that? Yeah, the problem isn't that she made fun of short people. The problem is that short people on the left are stupid enough to think that she was making fun of them.
Or do men hear that and go, oh, she's making fun of me? Especially when she keeps talking about insecure men, insecure men. Guys, what are you doing? You're driving
Dude, Jank's ass is insecure. Look at how mad he got.
away voters by the millions.
I'm gonna point out something very specific that she said that immediately turned me against this argument that she was making, because she pointed to, look, I can't stand Stephen Miller. I think he's one of the most nefarious figures in the Trump administration. She was making fun of his height, and it's like, okay, but.
Yeah, why? Why was she making fun of his height, Anna? Because he's insecure. Because he wants to be a big man, but he's not. And nobody's scared of Stephen Miller, and she's pointing that out. But instead of just going, you know what, hey, at the end of the day, maybe it's not my lane, maybe making fun of him for, you know, him being short when he's not. Like, I call people a little buddy in comments all the time because I know how much it makes them mad, right? Like when you refer to people and you go, oh, did I hurt your feelings? Sorry about that, little buddy. Like, that makes them mad. Like, I don't give a shit. The whole point by AOC is that you should be mocking these motherfuckers.
AOC, do you not understand that when you make fun of his height,
Yes.
all the men in the country think about their own height and how.
Well, then all the men in the country are fucking idiots. I had a girl once tell me that worked for me. She was talking about her boyfriend, and she goes, "Well, you're just a couple inches shorter than my boyfriend." And I go, "How tall is your boyfriend?" And she goes, 6'3". And I go, "Oh, no." I was like, a couple inches? I was like, thank you so much, but at best, I'm 5'11" with my shoes on, okay? So I'm like 5'10", right? And she looked at me and she goes, "Well, you have 6 foot energy." And you know why she said that? Because I didn't give a fuck. I ain't one of these dudes walking around telling people I'm like 6 foot, bro. Like you're like 5'11". No, I'm like 6 foot. Like, I don't give a fuck how tall I am. It's weird. It's fucking weird. This obsession we have with height. I tell my kids all the time. My kids are like, I hope like I'm as tall as you. And I'm like, you want to be somewhere just like around my height. You don't want to be, I mean, my height is fine. I'm like, being average height is actually awesome. Everything in this world is built for you. Like counters are like right where they need to be. Like cabinets, they're right where they need to be. I'm like, you don't want to be too tall. That shit's bad on your back and knees. Like, and when I was small, because I was actually like 5'2" going into high school, right? And I was doing some nefarious stuff. So I was like, actually, being small is really helpful. I can get in and out of situations that other people can't. Like, that's a you problem. If you're on the left and you mad at fucking AOC for making fun of Stephen Miller for being short, and you're like, hey, I'm short, you're a moron. You should be more mad about being a moron.
How you're mocking them if they're the same height as Stephen Miller. It's the same thing that women feel when, let's say, they're in the office and a group of their male coworkers are talking about a woman who they find unattractive or attractive, whatever. It makes you start.
No. That's not the same. That's not the fucking same. And this is the problem with the left, is like not understanding intent and context. Intent and context are incredibly important. If I walk into a room with disabled people and I use the R slur to describe those disabled people, I'm an asshole. But if I'm in line and some fucking MAGA moron cuts in front of everybody and I go, yeah, that's what Trump tards do. Yeah, that motherfucker deserves it. And I don't think there's anybody else in line that's going to be like, wait, hey, hold on, man. You said Trump tard. My brother's disabled. Motherfucker, did he vote for Trump? Because if he did, I still might call him that. It's not the same. It's not the same. So anyways, I want to show you guys an example. Okay. This is what that led to. This is what that led to. And this just irritates me so much that this is what that led to. Okay.
I want to express my love for the short king community. I don't believe in body shaming. I am talking about how big or small someone is on the inside. Like, for example, I have no idea how tall Andrew Tate is. No idea at all. But that guy looks to me like 5'3", like 5'3", 5'4". Whereas physically, men of smaller stature can come across, they are spiritually 6 foot. If you're a good dad, if you stand with women, if you're not belittling immigrants, you're like, 6'3".
That's cringe. I'm just going to say it. I love AOC, but she's letting them get to her, man. Like, this is the problem with the left. You call the left out on their bullshit, and they're just like, oh, okay, I need to give, like, a fucking sincere apology. And the thing is this, she's actually concerned. She feels bad that she might have hurt some 5'2" left-wing individuals' feelings. And that's beautiful that she's that type of person. I'm glad that she is actually, like, a person that cares about whether or not she offended somebody. But that's not the energy we need. That's not the energy. And it's not her fault. It's your fault for being 5'2" and being mad about some shit. Like, you are more mad about the fact that she made fun of Stephen Miller being short than you are about a fascist dictator. That's fucking nuts to me. And this is the problem with the left. It's like, oh, okay, I made a mistake and somebody could have been offended that I didn't want to be offended. So now I'm going to apologize in the fucking cringiest way possible. AOC, god damn it. Did you seriously just say this motherfucker is spiritually 6'3"? What are you doing? Like, she needs Jasmine Crockett in her life is what she needs. These people need the IHIP ladies. These people need some advisors on how to be tough and thick skin and talk shit. These people need to sit down and watch some Christopher Hitchens and some George Carlin and some Bill Hicks and recognize it's all good, dog. You don't need to come out and say some cringe ass shit about people being spiritually 6'3". God damn it, AOC. And I'm going to show you guys now. All right, what should have happened, okay? I'm going to show you an example now of what should have happened. Dim representative, floats violent response to GOP over viral sombrero meme. Now, this is a right-wing article, okay? This is written by a right-wing, this is a Daily Caller. Democrat California Representative Jimmy Gomez mused about physically assaulting Republicans for sharing viral memes, taunting Democrat lawmakers during a press conference on Thursday. So first of all, that's right-wing by the fact that he says mused about physically assaulting. This is what the right does. They know that that's not what he said, but they're going to say that he's saying he's physically assaulting. In fact, what this gentleman said is something I have said multiple times on this stream. Gomez said he would kick Republicans in the face for sharing AI-generated content of Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wearing a sombrero and a handlebar mustache. When pressed by a reporter whether he should tone down his violent rhetoric following a recent spate of political violence, Gomez doubled down and blamed President Donald Trump. You hear that? He doubled down and blamed Trump. That is the energy. That's the energy. You know what? You guys have a lot of shit to talk about, California. So far, we're the only one up here like doing anything. Just want to say that. Okay, and a couple of you are like, actually, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. All right, doubled down and talked about Trump. On the attacks regarding the sombreros, I think that those are just completely racist and uncalled for. But every time he does it, I'm going to release a movie poster with him and Jeffrey Epstein, Gomez told reporters during a press event hosted by the Congressional Dads Caucus. They fight fire with fire. We're going to fight fire with fire as well. If they go low, we're going to kick them in the face. That's what they're saying was him threatening to physically assault Republicans. And we've all know that we've all said this now a couple times. I've said it before. They go low, kick them in the face. We all know that is metaphorical. We all know that that is language that is meant to convey a feeling of that you are not going to take shit from these people any fucking more. And if they wish to take it down that far, we're going to be a whole lot worse. This is my fucking lane. This is where I live. This is where I reside. This is where I feel the most comfortable. And Gomez is just stepping right up in here, and we are bosom fucking buddies. Okay? I'm about to be roommates with this man. We don't play by the old rules of they go low, we go high, Gomez continued. That kind of era is way over. So it's bare knuckles in this fight. Fucking. I love this man. Gomez told reporters that he stood by his remarks when asked by a reporter who noted that some individuals could take his threat of physical violence literally. The suspect in the murder of Kirk notably espoused left-wing ideology according to court documents. Nope. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not espouse left-wing ideology. And just to show you that I'm being the best faith possible, he didn't show that he was really right-wing either. He showed that he was a nihilist. He showed that he was a person that was raised in chat rooms. He showed that he is a prime example of what is happening with young people on a whole in this country, if not the globe right now. That he felt disenfranchised, hopeless, faithless. He had nothing left in his life, and his parents were MAGA Republicans. So no court documents have ever proven that. The bullets for memes, the fucking text messages, all he said was his dad was MAGA. Like, no, he was not a left-wing individual. Donald Trump only responds to one thing, strength, Gomez immediately replied. The Republicans only respond to one thing, strength. We're in a different era, and if we Democrats act like we're not dealing with an opposition that will do anything to get their way, then we're going to be in the perpetual minority. So my district, they want me to fight back. I wish Gomez was my representative, to be honest with you. I might find out what county he represents, and I might move to it. Spokesperson for Gomez's office told the GCNF after publication that the statement was metaphorical, because they're morons. They don't understand what a metaphor is. Gomez's defense of physically threatening GOP lawmakers comes after resurfaced text message showed that Democrat Virginia Attorney General candidate Jay Jones fantasized about murdering a Republican colleague. The Virginia Democrat also wished death upon the lawmaker's 2 children over his political views. So Jay Jones just recently had text messages released saying, if I had 2 bullets and Hitler, Pol Pot, and whatever Republican speaker he was talking about, it was Mike Johnson, somebody else, were in the room, the Republican would get 2. That is 100% something you would see come from the right, and they wouldn't even bat a fucking eyelash. And now they want this dude to drop out so that way their dude can win. Nope. Jay Jones gets my vote. That's the way it is. The left needs to stop. The left needs to stop allowing the right to call them out on their empathetic values and allow them to use them against them, because the greatest strength on the left is their empathy, and their greatest weakness is their empathy as well. They have a strength in self-analyzing and criticizing their own, but it's also a weakness. And you have to, if you're on the left, recognize when it's appropriate to talk to your fellow political party members in a productive and positive manner about the way that we do things, and then you have to realize when it's not that time. And AOC, I love you, I appreciate you, and I am not going to sit here and tell anybody that they should disown or disavow AOC. But AOC, my God, please stop. Spiritually 6'3", don't do that. Don't do that. All right. I've been waiting all day to fucking rant on that, guys. I've been waiting all day to rant on that. You guys know, you guys been here for my party or my show for a long time. You know I've been talking about this a long time. You got to understand. You know, this whole idea of, if you make fun of the right, they're never going to vote for a Democrat. Like, just say that really slowly in your head to yourself. if you make fun of the right, they're never going to vote for a Democrat. Yet they're never going to vote for a Democrat. That's literally just the only part you need to say. They're never going to vote for it. You aren't going to convince MAGA Republicans. And as I've said multiple times, there's distinguishing factors between conservatives and MAGA Republicans. You are not going to convince MAGA Republicans to vote for a Democrat. They literally think they drink the blood of the children. They think that they had a pizza parlor with a basement where they traffic children. You're not going to convince those people to vote for a Democrat. Just stop. Fucking Cenk, just stop. Bill Maher, stop. You're not going to convince those people. And if you're out there and you're like, well, maybe a conservative gets their feelings hurt when you make fun of MAGA Republicans. Well, I have the same thing to say to them that I said to the 4'10" fucking lefties that got mad at AOC making fun of short people. You're not just conservative, you're also a moron. Because you should be able to tell the difference between when I'm making fun of MAGA Republicans that think that Joe Biden was a skin suit and whether or not you have differences on how our taxes should be used. I'm not going to sit up here all day long and make qualifiers for people so that way people can go, oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about me. That's your fucking job. That's your job. The AG party? I told you, I don't believe in parties. That's the problem. I don't believe that parties represent values. I believe people represent values. Like every single fucking politician should be homeless, right? Politically homeless. They should be removed from parties. Parties should be abolished. The Democratic Party should be abolished. The Republican Party should be abolished. The Libertarian Party should be abolished. Every party should be abolished. And the only thing that you should know about any fucking politician is A, where they get their money from. That should be completely transparent, where they get their money from. And B, what are the policies that they want to run on. The fact that these politicians get to hide behind the facade of family values, behind the facade of being pro-life, when they're clearly not, is insane. You can't have an AG party because I don't believe in party. I believe in fucking people. Like, I know that you can't just tell me you're a Democrat and me think I know every single one of your policies. I want to know who you are and what you believe on every one of these things. You know, it just obfuscates. You just get to say, well, I'm Republican, so these are my values. No, that's not how anything works. There is no fucking person that represents an entire party's beliefs. Every person has some type of nuanced point of view on any subject. Some of them are crazier than others. And I would like to be able to say, I want to know why you're pro-life. Don't tell me because you're a Republican. I want to know why you're pro-life. So I know whether or not it's some crazy ass fucking reason or whether or not it's some other crazy ass reason. Yeah. All right. I'm telling you. I wanted to talk about this. Oh, you guys. I'm right all the time. I am tired of being right. I am so fucking tired of being right. I'm right about mocking MAGA and that being the way, okay? And I was right about techno fucking libertarians and Curtis Yarvin, guys. Curtis Yarvin is planning to flee the country. Hold on, actually, I gotta. All right, we're gonna go back up because I just saw something somebody said that somebody else said to me a while ago. I have revised my political beliefs over time, though, even though I'm on the left. That's from Stuffies. Stuffies, I 100% agree with you. And I said something along this line to somebody the other day, and she said, well, my mom was a Republican for a long time, and then now she votes Democrat. So one of the things I think is really important for me to clarify is that I do believe people over time do change their mind about politics. But I do not believe that people like MAGA Republicans are going to be those people. I think that there are certain types of people that when they say just obscene, crazy shit, like, talking about adrenochrome or like to be honest, it's mostly the conspiracy laden people, the extremists. I don't think those people, like I said, do I think that a conservative that's like center right may potentially vote for Kamala Harris? Probably not, but they might choose to not vote for Donald Trump, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that. I want to make sure that I'm clear that when I'm talking about these people, I don't generally make fun of conservatives. I make fun of libertarians, but in a completely different way, because I think libertarians are goofy as fuck. But I do kind of like them. I have a love-hate relationship with libertarians. It just depends on what type of libertarian you are. But I'm specifically, this channel is dedicated specifically to talking about MAGA Republicans. So I do hear what you're saying. Okay, so back to it. Guys, I called this shit. I called it. You knew it. I knew it. We've talked about this forever. And Curtis Yarvin is now saying all of it out loud. So this is from the Nerd Reich. If you guys don't follow the Nerd Reich, it's a news media outlet that's kind of, this is what they cover, right? Is all this techno-feudalism shit. So, Panic Curtis Yarvin, J.D. Vance guru, plans to flee the USA, and this is by Gil Duran. That, of course, that's Curtis Yarvin's goofy ass. So this is why I make fun of these people. Because this is their dude. These people act like they are the hardest people in the entire world, and this is the person that is leading them. Why is every cult led by a dude that I am confused as to how he got any followers at all? This is one of my things. Where I look at like cult leaders all the time to try and be like, okay, let's see if I fall for this one. Maybe this is a cult leader that knows some shit, and maybe I'm gonna get sucked in. And so I'll sit down and I'll watch it. And I was like watching this Arabic dude. I forgot his name. I think it was the guy who led the cult that was in Oregon. They made a Netflix show about it, and he was talking, and he was like, Love is the way. The cosmos, the universe, love. And I was like, motherfucker, I need to listen to you on 2 times. Can I put this on 2 times? How does anybody fall for this shit? How do cult leaders get fucking cult members? If that man was like, now give me your house, I'm like, bitch, I don't think so. Give me a refund. I paid $10 to get into this. I bought some popcorn and a drink. That shit cost me $13. I want my $23 back. I will fight that man and take my money back. That's what I'm going to do. This is the guy. All right, this dude right here is the guy that had the plan. Guys. Some good news. Curtis Yarvin, the anti-American dark enlightenment guru credited as the philosopher behind J.D. Vance, believes the Trump administration is doomed to fail. Fearing retribution from a future Democratic administration, a terrified Yarvin declared on October 5th that he is already planning to flee the country. So this is from his Substack, right? I believe it's called the Gray Mirror. The second Trump revolution, like the first, is failing. It is failing because it deserves to fail. It is failing because it spends all its time patting itself on the back. It is failing because its true mission, which neither it nor, still less, its supporters understand, is still as far beyond its reach as algebra is beyond a cat. Because the vengeance meted out after its failure will dwarf the vengeance after 2020. Because the successes of the second revolution are so much greater than the first, I feel that I personally have to start thinking realistically about how to flee the country. Everyone else in a similar position should have a 2029 plan as well. And it is not even clear that it will wait until 2029. Losing Congress will instantly put this administration on the defensive. So this is really important. By the way, he also edited this tweet or this Substack later to take out the fact that he was going to flee the country, right? Because he doesn't want to tell people that he's fleeing the country because they'll stop him from fleeing the country. The thing that he says in this, and this is what always tripped me out about Yarvin, is Yarvin both thinks Donald Trump is the only person that can burn this government to the ground, and at the same time also doesn't believe that Donald Trump is actually capable of doing it because he thinks that Donald Trump's stupid. So the funny thing about Yarvin is sometimes he actually does know what he's talking about because he does have like a pretty like clear idea of what he wants for this country. It's just a really bad idea, right? Like he thinks that Trump should just go full dictator. Yarvin's whole thing is that he thinks that Trump isn't being dictator enough. And we'll talk about that here in a second as the tweet goes on. While most people see Trump violating the Constitution in unprecedented ways and trying to seize dictatorial power, Yarvin sees only weakness and failure. On Twitter, where Vice President Vance follows him, he has criticized the Trump administration for not going far enough to wrest control of the nation and permanently dislodge Democrats from power. Back in March, Yarvin wrote that the Trump regime would wither and eventually dissipate unless he went full authoritarian. Remember, this is the guy that is advising J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel, which means that in some ways he is advising Donald Trump. Yarvin doesn't think Trump has the guts to pull off a full fascist nightmare. Instead, he casts the administration's actions as merely performative stunts with no lasting impact. They look tough, they're doing something. That they're not even doing 0.01% of what it would take to solve the problem. That, at much more risk to themselves, the most they could probably do is 0.05%. Matters not. In other words, what he's saying there is they are doing more than anybody else has ever done to burn down this government and install a king or dictatorship. But even with that being said, that they're not even doing a good job. So he's even being criticized by Curtis Yarvin on not even being like this is the problem with Trump. Trump is doing things that are full fascist dictatorship, but he can't get enough support from the actual fascists behind him because he won't, or he can't. I wouldn't say he won't. He can't because of the people around him just fire and brimstone and nuke his own country, right? Like Pam Bondi, for as much of a fucking idiot as she is, Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, for as much as fucking idiots all of these people are, they're all still young enough that they're going to outlive Donald Trump, and they know they will go on trial. So even though what they're doing is in the fascist tilt, they know better than to go too much further because they know then that they will receive real pushback and they will one day find themselves on trial. But the crazy thing about all of this is that they are even doing 0.05% of it, because he points out there's something that's very important. By even doing 0.05% of it, you are literally setting yourself up to later be put on trial for all these things. And that is why I've been on this channel not panicking the whole fucking time. The whole reason I've just been on here making fun of these people this whole time is because eventually these chickens are coming home to roost. I don't know if that's a cliche, but I'm going to use that one. Hens coming home to roost? Of course, Trump has turned ICE into an American Gestapo. Okay, he just said it. Okay, oh no, that's not him. Okay, sorry. That's the dude writing this. Of course, Trump has turned ICE into American Gestapo and is deploying U.S. troops to American cities for no reason. Last week, he told a meeting of the nation's top generals it was time to fight an enemy within. This is all quite unprecedented and horrifying to most Americans. But it's still not enough for the shitlord of the dork enlightenment. What exactly would satisfy him? This is what would satisfy him, guys. Getting rid of all the liberal judges is easier than getting rid of all one liberal judge. In other words, he's saying getting rid of all the liberal judges is a lot easier than just getting one, right? Because it takes too long to get rid of one at a time. Getting rid of all the judges is easier than getting rid of all the liberal judges. So in other words, Curtis Yarvin is just saying he should just get rid of all judges. Conservative, Democratic, doesn't fucking matter. All of them should go. Getting rid of the whole legal system is easier than getting rid of all the judges. Getting rid of the whole machine of government is easier than getting rid of the whole legal system. Getting rid of the whole philosophy of government is easier than getting rid of the whole machine of government. So Curtis Yarvin, and any of you guys that have been listening to me, you know that Curtis Yarvin doesn't want government. He wants the states broken into little corporations, which each would have their own CEO, which would be competitive against each other, because he doesn't think that the United States of America can survive as a democracy. This is his political ideology, is get rid of government. And he wanted Donald Trump to just completely get rid of the government and become the king of America, and then allow these states to operate as fiefdoms with nobles, with CEOs. Nothing less than a full-on destruction of the United States can sate his thirst for power. Yarvin, clearly feeling paranoid and pressured, has experienced significant reputational decline in recent months. Notably, he has become a target of mockery and scorn from fellow right-wingers who see his approach as a political dead end. One big problem at the heart of Yarvin's ideology is a curious assertion that the USA is one big historical error, and the world would have been better off if England had won the American Revolution. Such trolling arguments may please the ears of Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, but they are a hard sell to the general American public. Last month, notorious right-wing propagandist Chris Rufo tore into Yarvin on Twitter, saying, "One of the problems with Curtis you eventually discover is that he's high on his own supply. He imagines himself as greater than the American founders, Ronald Reagan and Elon Musk, and yet the evidence for that is quite thin. He hasn't founded a new nation or become president or traveled to space. But also, more modestly, he hasn't written an influential work of history, published a bestseller, or tallied any real-world political wins. Nobody in a position of authority, even a small-town mayor or a dog catcher, has ever publicly adopted his ideas and put them into action. And this is what makes people like Curtis Yarvin have fucking brain aneurysms. And this is why this show is what it is, what we're going to talk about today, is there's so many fractures happening right now within MAGA. It's insane. And this is starting at its base, because Curtis Yarvin and techno oligarchs are the base of Donald Trump's administration, regardless of what MAGA tells you, regardless of what conservatives tell you. The real true power behind Donald Trump is techno oligarchy. Rufo's claim that no one has adopted Yarvin's ideas is false. Elon Musk's Doge, among other things, was inspired by Yarvin, and that's 100% true. In fact, Elon Musk having all of our information now is part of Curtis Yarvin's plan to burn down the United States of America. Rufo compared Yarvin to a Berkeley professor who burned out on acid in the 60s. Not far from that, actually. That's actually not far. Other far-right figures, like Richard Hanania, have also regularly mocked Yarvin on Twitter. Let's see. Here's one from James Medlock, who wrote, "Seeing Curtis Yarvin tweet is like if you watch a horror movie that sets up this mysterious evil villain, and then at the end of the movie comes the grand reveal, and it's just Alf. And you can't help but laugh and also feel a little bit let down. That's it?" They're clowning him. This is their dude. This is their whole plan was set up by this guy and Russell Vought at Project 2025. And they are clowning this motherfucker. The political news these days seems quite scary, and the worst is likely yet to come. On the bright side, one of the main architects of neo-fascism believes the project is doomed, and he's plotting his exit. The big question, which faraway country will Yarvin choose as his new home? Dubai, Russia, Kazakhstan, all these choices seem quite harsh compared to the Tony neighborhood in ultra-progressive Berkeley where Yarvin currently lives in a very expensive craftsman house. The cracks are there. The cracks in the foundation are there. This is why I'm telling you guys, you can't get exhausted. You can't get apathetic. You cannot become so disillusioned with what is going on right now that you fall for what they're doing. Don't take the bait. Like, there's plenty of people that 100% should be out there protesting. Don't take the bait. Don't assault the police officer. Don't take the bait. Keep doing what we are doing. Keep mocking this shit. Keep making fun of this shit. Keep protesting. Keep putting out videos. Keep talking about it. Keep talking to your friends about it, your family about it. Keep talking. Because that's what's going to get there, because there are cracks in this framework. So this is a video I've tried to a couple times do, and I never get to it. And I wanted to talk about it, and this was probably the perfect opportunity for us to talk about it. So this is J-Reg, and he I don't watch a ton of this dude's content, and I know somebody's going to be like, you don't like him because of this or you don't like him because of that. I watch videos because they have information, right? I try not to care.
Hello, class. Welcome.
I try not to care too much about all the shit that goes on because it's just like reading books or listening to music or actors and all this stuff. There's always going to be something that I disagree with on any person, right? Always going to be something. I'm not an iconicist. I don't believe in following or loving everything anybody does. But I saw this video and I wanted to use it because looks like it's a very good explanation of how the right-wing infighting is the way we get out of this. And I said this before the election in November. I said, if Donald Trump wins, the real hope is that these people are so nuts that they just start eating each other. That the Project 2025 people start eating the techno-oligarchs. That the techno-oligarchs start fighting with Trump himself, who's just a fucking wild card. My boss said it the other day. She was like, it's just like having, a child as the president. And that was spot on. That was spot on.
Today we're going to be looking at a chart of different right-wing factions that have all, come together under a coalition. Whenever you have a coalition of any kind in politics, there's going to be different, fractures within that coalition that don't necessarily agree with each other, but are sometimes...
He draws a good bubble. I know what you're saying, except for that Tulsi Gabbard bubble. The Tulsi Gabbard bubble, I don't know why I can't. Tulsi Gabbard bubble. Tulsi Gabbard bubble. I can say it. Okay. It kind of looks like a fish. That's a bad one. I don't like that bubble. The rest of the bubbles look pretty good. The rest of the bubbles, very good. That bubble, I don't know. Maybe it's just like it wasn't in his wheelhouse. A little bit outside of his zone.
Sometimes united against a common enemy, maybe the woke left, maybe commies. And Trump is the main guy who is uniting this coalition. And he's in the middle, and we're going to look at all the different subsections of this coalition that he's brought underneath himself. And it's interesting to do this because we can start to see some of the possible fractures that could emerge.
And by the way, this is something that I make fun of the left a lot about, is that like we infight too much and they don't. And one of the reasons I want to watch this video is because I do like to see things that contrast with my beliefs. And I do believe that these people will eat their own, but I do also believe that the right oftentimes has a lot more solidarity when attacking the left. When they're not attacking the left, I don't know that they have more solidarity, but definitely when they're attacking the left, the right seems like they have a pretty good foundation. Oh, also this Russell Brand circle, not great either. That's not a great circle either.
Merge in the coalition. And this also explains some of the fractures we've seen already, like the H-1B visa, right-wing infighting drama. And
yeah, Natalie, supposedly we're all terrorists now. It's like being called a Nazi for the right now. It's like the left now we're like, okay, cool, whatever, I guess.
And of course, the Elon Trump right-wing infighting drama. So, we're going to look at this through the lens of ideology, and then near the end of this video, we'll talk a little bit more about seeing things through this lens. But yeah, let's start with Trump. So around every ideology here, I have someone that represents the ideology. But Trump is an interesting case. I put around him like populist, national conservatism. He is all these things, but I don't think he...
I disagree with the conservatism. Populist, nationalist, and right-wing. I believe all those things, but conservatism, I don't think that Trump is a true red conservative.
He's probably the least ideological person here, and that is what makes him such a great conduit for bringing all these right-wing factions together, is because he's not, you can say, oh, Trump is a fascist or whatever, but I don't think he's sitting down reading the Doctrines of Fascism thinking, great book,
Yeah, that's actually a really good point on his part. Donald Trump isn't fascist because Donald Trump read Mussolini and was like, dude, 100%, that's a great way to do government. Donald Trump is innately a fascist. The way he does things is fascist. The strongman, fake persona, the barbarians at the gate, the use of authoritarian, unilateral executive power, those things are fascist. But no, I agree with him. I don't think that Donald Trump, if you ask Donald Trump what fascism was, he probably does not know what fascism is.
No, I don't think he's not very autistic. He's not.
Useful idiot is probably actually his main political ideology etch That's probably true.
Ideological in that way. He's more of a schizo. He's all over the place.
Yes.
I call him a meta-ironic schizo here because he sort of is in a position where he needs to speak out of both ends of his mouth simultaneously. The tariffs are simultaneously just a free market deal to get better free market deals, but also protectionist and nationalist and kind of in a way like anti-capitalist in a strange way for a right-wing coalition leader. And he's doing this because he has to appeal to this faction over here, the side of capital, and also this faction over here, which is the side of autarky, and it's the more fascism, authoritarian.
Yep, and when he says appeal, that's the most important part, because Donald Trump operates strictly off of being a panderer. Like, he wants people to like him, but he's also so narcissistic that he doesn't want to tell people that he wants them to like him. So that's what does create this kind of these rifts, because there's all these people that want to shove money in his pockets, which he fucking loves, okay? Donald Trump is stripper and president, okay? He likes the dollar bills being shoved down his diaper. He loves that shit. But he doesn't really care where they come from as long as they're dollar bills. And I said this before, I'm like, the left actually missed a real good chance in the 90s to have a completely alternate reality where Donald Trump stood up on a podium and defended LGBT rights. Because he is whoever you want him to be, as long as you are willing to worship at his altar and stuff dollars in his diaper.
End of the spectrum to appeal to both the libertarian right and the authoritarian center of his coalition. So let's start up here. Let's start with autarky. This is a faction of the Trump administration that deals in economic nationalism and is pushing him towards the tariffs and stuff. Bannon is a good example of this. Steve Bannon was the chief strategist of the first Trump administration, the 2016 one. And I labeled him here as post-racial fascism. And I'll let my good friend Richard Hanna explain the post-racial fascism of Steve Bannon. So, yes, as you can see, Steve Bannon is simultaneously woke, which is to say he, thinks about the interests of ethnic minorities, and sort of authoritarian, fascist, economic nationalist, wants to pull out of the global economy, rants about the globalists, his main enemy is the globalists. He's not racist. I think that's fair to say. Steve Bannon, maybe if he was racist, he wouldn't be getting platformed on the big MSM media stuff. But so I've contrasted him here, and I'm trying in this chart just to use people who are actually a part of the.
Look, you gotta give this guy, you gotta give J-Reg some credit here. All right, this is a hard thing to talk about. This is definitely difficult to explain. He's doing a pretty good job.
Trump administration. I have Ye and Fuentes here. They're not a part of the Trump administration. They're associated, they got dinner with Trump and stuff, but they're not associated. They don't have any role in the Trump administration. But I put them there just to contrast with the Bannon approach, because that is more of a racial fascism. That is I am concerned about the white minority in the United States sort of.
Post-racial fascism. I heard this the other day. Oh my God, that's so crazy. Post-racial fascism. The idea that being fascist, you don't have to be racist to be fascist anymore. And before you guys jump out ahead of me and say, no, all fascists are racist, it's not true. And the reason that I say that is because of the book that's behind me. Because Joe Moore points out during his time in the FBI when he infiltrated the KKK, how the KKK had recognized that they had to start reaching out to minorities and allowing them to participate on the fringe of the Ku Klux Klan. There is a certain point in the KKK, I know it sounds fucking insane, but look this shit up, okay? Because of the fact that the Ku Klux Klan went from this white trash, well, actually, obviously it started with Confederate generals and stuff, but the newer iterations of the KKK were white trash, dudes with swastikas on their face, beating up black people in the ghetto, American History X shit, right? But as we got into the late 2000s and Trump came into power, it became much more capitalistic. And like Joe Moore himself in the book, he goes and meets this Grand Dragon, the guy who's in charge of all the Claverns that he's a part of. And this guy drives up in a brand new Silverado. He gets out with a suit on. His wife is wearing a skirt suit. and it's just a normal looking dude. And he's like, what you have to understand about the Ku Klux Klan is that now they've infiltrated government, they've infiltrated government jobs, they've infiltrated corporations, and really the idea of the KKK now, or just white supremacy in general, is that their job is to sow seeds of discontent amongst all people, white, black, Mexican, doesn't matter. They want everybody to be at odds so that at one point or another a race war starts, and then they will be able to, white supremacy, will be able to take advantage and insert themselves into certain places within the country and take over those governments. In other words, they don't think they'll ever be able to take over the entire United States of America, nor do they want to. They actually only want parts of it, and they know that the only way that they can accomplish this is by getting racist blacks and Mexicans as well to join up. How fucking insane is that? This is like the fucking dumbest timeline.
Fascism, where Bannon's never going to be like, oh, we should replace white people, but he's also not going to. He's not concerned with that in the same way that the more racial.
Daryl Davis was the black dude that converted KKK members. Daryl Davis, not Clayton Bigsby, Barnaby. That's the black white supremacist. If you got hate in your heart, let it out. I got a lot of Clayton Bigsby quotes in my head, and not all of them are appropriate.
Fascist types are. I also put Christian nationalism in here. I think maybe Candace Owens is a more sincere, like non-white genocide kind of Christian nationalist, but at the same time, it's hard to tell. We're splitting hairs over here. But in general, these people are not just blindly on the side of capital. I'm sure they hate commies, but they're really more on the side of nationalism and kind of crippling capital in the way where nationalism can work for the American people, even if it's not necessarily in the interest of the free market. Now we're gonna get to this guy later, but Curtis Yarvin. He says that fascism is an anti-capitalist reaction. This is very interesting, right? Because what you'll hear from Marxists and left-wingers is fascism is a capitalist movement. It's actually what happens when neoliberalism fails is the forces of capital flee towards fascism. So fascism is kind of a right-wing pro-capitalist movement. Hitler privatized a lot of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's a fair point to be made, but I think I actually do kind of agree with Curtis Yarvin more on this point that fascism is a kind of anti-capitalist movement. It's an anti-globalist movement. It's an anti-global capitalist movement. And the forces of capital over here...
And you see that a little bit of what Trump's doing right now when he takes stock in Intel, or he talks about owning parts of the universities. Those are all anti-capitalism. Those are all ideas that some of it's even like communistic. But it's definitely fascism because of the fact that he wants to be the only person that's in control of it. So he wants to have unilateral, authoritarian executive power over all decisions that are made by these companies or by these universities. So it's very fascist in that manner.
Which is going to be represented by Elon Musk, and we'll get to him soon. The forces of capital over here do not want nationalism. It's not in their best interest. Maybe Elon will tweet about how we need stronger borders or whatever, but ultimately the libertarian class, the capital class, for the most part, they want to do what is in the interest of their companies and their capital, and almost always it's in the interest of their companies and capital to be globalist and to trade as much as possible with as many people as possible on a global scale. So, moving over here to the capital class, this is another faction of the right-wing, coalition that Trump has to keep happy, and you got libertarians like Rand Paul. This is an easy fracture you can look at.
Yeah, no, Rand Paul fucking hates him now. Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, the libertarians were the first to go. Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with libertarians, man. Sometimes I'm like, you guys did a good job. That one time you guys did a good job. And then like 2 seconds later, they say some shit that is just fucking wacky. And I'm like, nope. And also my favorite video of all time is the Good Liars going to that libertarian convention. Look, if libertarians would just actually vote for libertarian candidates, I would like libertarians more. If libertarians would stand on business and actually vote for their own candidates and actually like vote for the bills and shit that they actually do truly believe in, I would like libertarians more. But they're just as bad. What makes libertarians funny is how hardcore they are. And then the moment that Trump comes along, they're just as bad as anybody else. And they're like, I don't know, I like that he trolls people.
Rand Paul was critical of the big beautiful bill that added 36 trillion or whatever. You can also
Mike.
Go even further here and include ANCAPs. I put Michael Malice here. But Elon, Elon is really more the autist to Trump.
I was going to say, he's got technocracy and autism as like a sub-department.
Trump's schizo. He genuinely thinks he's some kind of free speech ascended.
Oh, don't forget about the K-hole, though, J-Reg. Dude, he better bring the K-hole into this.
Centrist, libertarian dude, and genuinely cares about the national debt, which I thought no one cared about that shit. If the Republicans are adding 36 trillion to the debt, you got to be like, wow, there really is no way of cutting the debt between the Democrats and the Republicans. So Elon really is more of the autist here. He is more of a principled kind of, I think the debt should go down kind of guy, and thought that the bills that Trump was passing and the nationalism that he was doing, and sort of like, Bannon in some ways agrees with Bernie Sanders on a lot of regards. I think this is the core split within the administration, the autarky versus the side of capital. Because, on the side of capital, you want to be cutting the deficit and you want to be getting the government out of people's lives. Over here, you're like, we need to give money.
Dude, MAGA Maoism? I've been calling this motherfucker the Mandarin Messiah for so long. I've been calling him the Mandarin Messiah as a joke for so long. That's a Mao nickname, just so everybody knows. He was the Mandarin Messiah. Like, oh my God, that is fucking, is this a simulation? It's a possibility.
To white babies or whatever, like, white babies or American babies, depending
The Cybertruck was a ketamine fever dream.
on what flavor you're going with, and you want to be getting the government out of people's lives. Over here, you're like, we need to give money to white babies or whatever, like, white babies or American babies, depending on what flavor you're going with. But yeah, that's the core tension, and he's trying to keep both of these sides happy. Curtis Yarvin, I put over here as the court philosopher, the Jafar type of the Trump administration. Who knows how much, if any, influence he has over Trump, but he is definitely connected to Vance and Peter Thiel. And Vance obviously being the vice president in this world of capital and in this, sort of techno-feudal, techno-monarch world. Curtis Yarvin's a very interesting character.
Which is exactly why I said J.D. Vance is actually a problem. J.D. Vance is the real person that people should be concerned about.
I'm sure you've heard of him before. I put him down as neo-feudal, neo-reactionary, neo-monarchist. He's also a neo-cameralist, lots of neos in here. He's like a right accelerationist. He invented the Dark Enlightenment with Nick Land. And his whole thing is he thinks that Trump should be a king. Trump should be a monarch. I wouldn't say that's his whole thing. He'll often say, well, Trump maybe isn't the guy to do it. But he basically thinks that he's an advocate for monarchy.
Yeah, just to explain that a little better, to clarify it, he thinks Donald Trump should burn down the government so that way there can be a real king. He doesn't think that Donald Trump should be the king. He thinks he should be the king and then die and then have a real king that could do the things that Curtis Yarvin wants him to do, which is J.D. Vance. He wants J.D. Vance to be in there. I don't even know that J.D. Vance is Curtis Yarvin's guy. J.D. Vance is Peter Thiel's guy, and Curtis Yarvin is willing probably to take J.D. Vance. I don't know that he's even the person. But that needs to be clarified, because I said this from the very beginning. Whether it was Project 2025 or as techno-oligarchs, the reason that they put their money behind Donald Trump was because Donald Trump was a populist. Peter Thiel himself said a long time ago that no one was going to vote for his ideas. They needed to figure out a different way to get into power. And the way to get into that power was to find a circus clown that was willing to take dollars to do whatever the fuck you wanted him to do. And that is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is literally a useful idiot. He is a patsy. And this is like why it's so crazy for MAGA right now. Because MAGA right now is going insane. They're breaking. Their brains are literally breaking because they can't figure out why this feels so bad for them, but they think it's so good. And that's because Donald Trump is being drugged 10 ways till Sunday by all of the people that have put money in his pocket. The problem is that he let people put money in his pockets that all thought that they were going to be the people that are going to have the best interests, right? Like they thought that Donald Trump was going to like them more than anybody else. The guy who put the most money in his pocket, Elon Musk, was the guy who was first asked to leave because he was too annoying. Now these other people are all playing this game where they're like, no, now it's my turn. Now it's my turn. And that's why shit feels so crazy right now, is because Donald Trump is an agent of chaos. He doesn't know it. He wasn't recruited. He was born to be this fucking person. And then all of these people around him are much smarter people than them that actually have solid plans around what they want to do. All of them bad. But Donald Trump is sitting there going like, now I do a little bit for you. Now I do a little bit for you. Oh, shit, now for you. Think of it this way. It's like if 6 of you paid for a prostitute, okay? But halfway through you getting a handy, somebody else threw some dollars at her, and then she stopped giving you a handy and went over and started giving him a handy. So then you threw dollars at her, so she stopped giving him a handy and came back. The whole time you'd just be really fucking frustrated, right? That's what this is like.
And he thinks that America should be in a monarchy. It's a more efficient way of doing things, and a lot of the moves that Trump is making right now, like destroying some of the executive branches, going through the courts, concentrating power within a singular unit, is the kind of thing that Curtis Yarvin would advocate for. Now, Curtis Yarvin, if he was talking to a progressive, would say some shit like, well, Bernie Sanders should be able to do the same thing, right? Because, if Bernie Sanders was president, he wouldn't be able to make universal health care happen without going through the courts and doing a bunch of unconstitutional things. So really, it's in everyone's best interest to have a efficient monarch. Now, in no way am I suggesting here that Trump is trying to keep Curtis Yarvin happy, but he is a member of this coalition. He's got direct influence in the the EAC world, and the Elon world, the Vance world, the techno monarch world, the tech world in general. He is very influential, and so he's kind of like 2 stages removed. So again, this is the main tension. But I'm going to look at a couple other tensions here. So one of the tensions is hawk, and one of the tensions is non-interventionism. So when we're looking at a foreign interference, like a foreign diplomatic relation chart, you have Dove on one side.
Dude, has anybody seen Tulsi Gabbard lately? Dude, I haven't seen Tulsi Gabbard since they started talking shit to her. Remember when she was like, we gonna get Obama? Remember that shit? I know that was probably only like 2 weeks ago. It seems like it was like a year or 2 ago. What happened to fucking fake ass Rogue?
At hawk on the other side. A Dove approach is stuff like USAID, where you go into other countries and you give them aid, and it's a sort of a benevolent approach. You help them with their country, especially poorer countries. A hawk approach is more like, I'm going to coup the democratically elected leader and replace them with a U.S. asset.
Venezuela.
So Pete Hegseth here is the defense secretary, and I've labeled him as the hawk. He's a good representative of the hawkish faction, very pro spending money on the endless wars, pro-Israel, pro-Ukraine, I'm sure. And then on the other end, we've got the non-interventionist Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is the director of national intelligence, and she ran her whole thing on being anti-war. She's the anti-war candidate. She doesn't want any.
She's buried next to Yvonne on the golf course. Oh, no. Gives new meaning to handyman. You know what I'm talking about, Cheyenne.
More wars. So Trump often, markets himself as the anti-war candidate and non-interventionist, but blows up, Soleimani, and will often, get involved with foreign...
The most anti-war, pro-war president of all time.
War stuff. So he again has to be this character appealing to both sides simultaneously with meta irony. He's literally me. So the non-interventionist types and the hawkish types, you may notice there's no Dove faction of the Trump administration. That's because they're not represented. There's no Dove faction of this right-wing administration. Being Dove is more associated with like being neoliberal, center-left globalist. And Trump does not have that represented in his faction, as far as I know. So really, it's just a matter of like, I don't want to get involved at all. Like, let Hitler do his things in Europe. That's not our problem. America first. Versus let's coup the South American democratically elected president and replace him with a right-wing fascist loyal to America. Those are your options under the Trump administration. So yeah, obviously though, these two sides don't agree with each other. Tulsi Gabbard doesn't want any involvement with foreign wars, and Pete Hegseth is like, all right, let's go bomb some children, or terrorists. Yeah. So. The last section we're going to look at here is what I call alt health neo crunchy. These are people who...
Dude, these are the people that are the most frustrating. And they're the most broken. Because these poor people, man, I actually, this is like the libertarians for me. I actually feel worse for these guys than the libertarians. Libertarians get what they're trolls. Libertarians are trolls, and they get what they get, all right? Y'all voted for this shit. You know what the fuck was going to happen. This is your problem, okay? The alt health people literally were like, RFK Jr., man, is going to save this country. I don't know, maybe they had like some inside intel on the brain worm and the special powers the brain worm gives people. But like all you got out of RFK Jr. so far is that kids that are circumcised that get Tylenol turn out to be autistic. Definitely not provable. And what else has he done other than that? Like, this is like, drink raw milk. Which I've actually seen some hippie people on Reddit complaining about all the Maha people ruining the raw milk scene now. Oh, it's great. It is so good. I feel so bad for I don't, but I feel bad for the RFK Jr. people a little bit because RFK Jr. was like literally just prostituting himself out. He was like, whoever will take me, I just want to be somewhere in the government at some point so that way I can justify the fact that my last name is Kennedy. Like, that's all it was. He was like, dude, my mom is disappointed. My dad is disappointed. The brain worm is disappointed in me. I just need to make this work. He went to Kamala, to Biden. He was like, somebody just put me in their fucking government, please. And then somebody was like, if you give enough money to Donald Trump, he'll definitely let you in that bitch. And he was like, no doubt. And now all of these people are like, he's going to get red dye 40 out. And I'm like, well, that would be a win. That would be a win. Also, just so you guys know, Michelle Obama was the original RFK Jr., but you guys fucking hate her because A, she was a woman, and B, she was black. Just wanted you guys to know that.
But, by all accounts, are like libertarian left in a lot of ways, but they're in the Trump administration. This is kind of a political compass. Like, it's kind of. Well, if this was a political compass, I would have swapped the hawk and the non-interventionist one. But, these guys, I'm using RFK as the emblematic sort of unifier here. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. This is his ideology. And also in this box, I'm putting Marjorie Taylor Greene as conspiracism. This is a administration that is like catnip to conspiracy people. And
yes, it
MTG is sort of like the most emblematic of that faction. It's interesting to have conspiracists as part of your faction when you're in power because their whole ideology is based off of being like suspicious of people in power. And so what that means is they get a lot of like, okay, let's focus on the last people who are in power. And basically all of these people have their own agendas and don't want to go off in their own direction. But like Kash Patel was saying when he was on Joe Rogan and the Elon Musk tweet dropped that, Trump's in the Epstein files, Kash Patel says, that's not my lane, and that's kind of very emblematic of what it is like to be a part of this right-wing coalition, which is like, okay, that's not my lane. Maybe in RFK's heart of hearts, he doesn't like that Trump is scarfing down the McDonald's. And then he takes this picture where he looks like he's going to fucking die because, he's being forced to eat a McDonald's like a humiliation ritual. But, he knows his lane, and his lane is, go into the health secretary services and get rid of the red 40 or whatever you want to get rid of. And that's...
Yeah, see? See, RFK Jr. knew there was one thing that would unite us all, and that was getting rid of Red Dye 40. Just wait until RFK Jr. Like, if RFK Jr. comes out and says Red Dye 40 causes autism, we might all be with that. I don't know why he went after Tylenol. He could have just used Red Dye 40. I bet you there's not one of you. Are there any of you in chat right now that like Red Dye 40? Like, anybody? Like that it seems like a no-brainer that if you're going to come out and say that there is anything that is causing autism, that is Red Dye 40. Because, like, most of us, even though we think RFK Jr. is a kook, most of us would be like, well, that's a possibility, actually. Fuck Red Dye 40.
Kind of what you're there for. And so, you know, this segment is, I'm sure, completely against a lot of the people that support Trump, that like their, you know, unhealthy food and their processed food, and they want to keep eating it. But RFK is there to sort of bolster the vaccine skeptic people. I mean, this kind of whole area is post-COVID, like all the hippies turned right-wing. Every hippie is like right-wing now. All the alt health stuff used to be like left-wing, crazy.
Yep, he is right. And I've told you guys this before. Me and J-Reg, we could be friends. I mean, we would probably hate each other after about 15 minutes. But we could probably be friends because you guys know I've been talking this shit for 2 years on this channel, that COVID and all this stuff, all these conspiracy theories changed all the hippies into right-wing people. In fact, I trace back techno-oligarchy to the 70s in Silicon Valley and the Good Earth catalog and the mixing of all the tech people and the hippies during that time. One day I will finish that book. I'm still in the middle of writing the other book, and I'm a little bit writer's block right now.
NOLA people, anti-vaccine people were like left-wing libertarians. Now they're like right-wing. Now they've all been gobbled up under the right-wing coalition. So I've also got someone like Russell Brand in here, no relation to the Trump administration, but just kind of like vibes-wise. And then connecting the alt-health neo-crunchy people with the anti-globalist people, you got like Alex Jones selling his brain pills and ranting about globalists. So this is
Red Dye 40 made me gay. Dude, we should just start our own political movement, guys. Let's just start our own political movement that is centered around getting rid of Red Dye 40. I think this is what heals this country. I think if we really want to fix this country, guys, the way we do it is getting rid of Red Dye 40. I think that's what we do. Because look, nobody at this point has said that they were for Red Dye 40. Some people have said that they don't care or are indifferent about Red Dye 40. But nobody at this point has straight up supported the Red Dye 40. I think we're okay. I think we got this.
The chart that I've drawn out, and with someone to represent each individual person in the administration to represent that coalition of the faction. But let's take a look here and think about what we might have been missing. And what we're missing here is the fact that this isn't how the world works.
It made you trans? Look, I'm fucking telling you guys. We could just blame all the right-wing fears on Red Dye 40, and we could get the left-wing people on it just by saying we're going to ban it, okay? We just got to be real careful with who we're fucking, who we're giving what message, right? Like, we don't want to mix up those signals.
Ideological, rifts like this are interesting to look at from the ideological perspective, but the man in the middle here is not really an ideological person. He's like an egoist, and he's an authoritarian, sure, but he's much more of like he's driven by his ego. So,
and you know who he missed? Okay, so here's the one thing he missed here. So he missed this, and this is a big one, J-Reg. This is a big one. The one he missed is Project 2025 people. He missed the Heritage Foundation. Because he's asking, like, what did he miss here? He missed the Heritage Foundation.
You could say the same about all these people. Like, these are all just human beings. So when Elon and Trump are fighting, there's the ideological element of autarky versus capital, of the H-1B visa versus, no H-1B visa people, which, by the way, Bernie Sanders was on the side of no H-1B visa, which would, align with Bannon. That's interesting to look at that like that, but, ultimately, this is kind of just like maybe Elon and Trump just like didn't like each other. Maybe Elon was going in and annoying Trump, and maybe Trump was annoying Elon, and there's just some personal drama there, and this guy's high on ketamine, and none of this has anything to do with ideology, right? So like when Trump is saying to Netanyahu
oh, you got to put TYT on there. You are correct.
maybe we should help the people of Gaza more, and I don't like you very much, and does all these deals behind his back. Is it because the non-interventionist wing of the right-wing coalition got to Trump and is starting to influence him, to be pro-Palestine? Or perhaps is it just the fact that, Netanyahu personally wronged this guy? So I think this is something that,
Oh, yeah, what about the Israeli government? Where's the Israeli government at? Like, he missed Israel. Dude, he missed, like, the big ones. Israel and the Heritage Foundation.
You do kind of underestimate when it comes to this kind of stuff. We underestimate just how much this...
And Putin's not on there either. Where's Putin at?
This kind of the interpersonal relationships get in the way of these kinds of relationships. And most of this stuff is just... a guy got pissed off, and that's it. The dude got pissed off. That's all that happened. So, a lot of these fractures are just interpersonal relationships, and there's like an inherent weakness of viewing things ideologically. But it sure is fun because you can make a chart.
All right, I know most of you guys know who J-Reg is. He's got a bajillion. He's got 565,000. subscribers. But just in case you don't and you like the video, here's J-Reg's video right here that you can go to, and you can like and subscribe to his channel. Yeah, big whiff on the Heritage Foundation there. Big whiff on Israel. There's another J-Reg video we'll watch at some other time. But I thought that was pretty good. That's a good one there. Let's see. Do you guys miss these? Here, how about this? Now that we've seen how crazy. Oh wait, I'm supposed to wait. Okay, let's talk about the continued fracturing. Let's keep on the fracturing. I wanted to watch this Bush video, but I always forget. Like, I have to play the videos I put in the title. So let's. Oh yeah, right-wing evangelicals. That's another big miss, Cheyenne. Evangelicals, can't miss those ones. Someone said Barron knocked up someone. Oh my God. Golf Marine would like to transition away from unnecessary food colorings. All right. All right. Let's watch this. Continuing the talk about the fracturing happening within MAGA currently and all the insanity. There is recently, this is Duncan Trussell, right? Recently there was a fracturing with him because he's a big conspiracy theorist. And I think maybe Elephant Graveyard called him out for being bad, and that made him mad. It's like, there is so much weird shit going on right now. Oh. Who's going to be the Democrat nominee? Me. I told you, I'm going to run on fucking getting rid of Red Dye 40, and I'm going to fucking take like 500 of the electoral votes. I'm going to be the Democratic nominee, and it's going to be amazing. No tax on tits. No tax on tits. And also, get rid of Red Dye 40. So far, that's what I'm running on, I think, at this point. No tax on tits and getting rid of Red Dye 40. That's what I'm going to run on.
I read it wrong. Read it wrong. No, okay, so the Democrats were not.
Wait, why are they dressed like priests? Last time, I guess it's because these guys do this. Last time they were astronauts, right?
Democrats were pushing this. The Republicans fought against it. Okay, I f***ed that up. So 51 to 49 is crazy. So they just voted along party lines. So they probably told...
I'm going to run on transgendering everyone. Oh, George.
Told to do this. That's crazy. Fought against it. Okay, so the Democrats were not. The Democrats were pushing this. The Republicans fought against it. Okay, I f***ed that up. So 51 to 49 is crazy. So they just voted along party lines. So they're probably told to do this.
As most
Joe Rogan fucked something up? No way.
Most of you are aware, and much to our chagrin, the world's most popular podcaster, Joe Rogan, has drifted steadily towards the right over the past few years, becoming sympathetic to MAGA, grading Trump on a curve, getting entangled in ridiculous right-wing conspiracy theories. And
Yeah, I was about to say, because MAGA is conspiracy heroin, dude. Like, if you are even, like, mildly conspiratorial, it's like being a Star Trek nerd. Like, back in the day, you know, when it wasn't, like, cool to be a Star Trek nerd when I was a kid, okay? I wasn't a Star Trek fan, by the way, because my mom watched Star Trek all the fucking time, and I hated it because it was always on TV. But it was like being a Star Trek nerd, right? It was like you had to, like, find little groups of people that were willing to talk to you about Star Trek, or everybody was just like, shut up, nerd, okay? That's like what it was like to be a conspiracy theorist for a long time. Like, people would, like, laugh and be like, yeah, dude, cool. Yeah, aliens probed you, bro. And, like, get hurt. Brother, they stuck beads in my butt. And they're like, whatever you say, dude. And now MAGA has made it popular. So it's like when someone stuck beads in your butt, you're like, damn, you got probed by aliens? They're like, no, it was just Saturday, me and this other dude. I'm like, oh, I thought you were talking about aliens. Get out of our fucking room, nerd.
after he interviewed Donald Trump in the biggest softball interview and the highest profile interview probably of the year, and effectively endorsed him for the 2024 presidency, it seemed like that was the end and we'd lost Joe Rogan forever. But as this channel has noted and tracked relentlessly, over the past several months, Rogan has become increasingly disillusioned with the Trump administration over their lies and hypocrisy and censorship.
Because at one point or another, crazy people do get to you, right? Like, even if you're crazy, have you? So I grew up next to a 5150 house. Don't cancel me. Can I get canceled for that? I think that's a scientific term, 5150 house. And like, the crazy people didn't like each other, right? Like, they would hang out sometimes, but then, like, eventually you would see the dude that thought he was Bruce Lee getting in a fight with the dude that thought he was Hiawatha. Like, that shit, like, they would definitely come to blows. Crazy people can only tolerate other crazy people in certain amounts. And MAGA now, the only people they get to talk to, I say this all the time, they don't have any friends. Their family has disowned them. Their coworkers won't fucking talk to them because they're like, dude, shut the fuck up about Donald Trump, okay? Like, it is the only people that these people have left to talk to is other MAGA conspiracy theorists and me. Like, they come in my comments and, like, I make fun of them because that's their kink, is they like to be shit on. So you got to understand, that's like all so people like Joe Rogan are actually getting tired of dealing with these people because they're insane.
And authoritarianism. And he's become increasingly critical of Trump. And I want you to see the exact moment where Rogan realizes that it's the Democratic Party that he so often criticizes, not the Republican Party, which he has tried to praise, that is fighting to release the Epstein files, something that Joe Rogan cares a great deal about, that it's the Democrats doing the right thing and Republicans who are doing the wrong thing and lying. We have that moment, but before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.
He's a good dude.
All right, friends, here's the segment in which this is discussed, and Joe Rogan has this epiphany. He sees this in real time. You see him processing it, struggling with it. And this is on his most recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with Duncan Trussell.
Okay, the Senate voted 51-49 to defeat an amendment that would have forced the Department of Justice to release all files related to Jeffrey Epstein. The vote was largely along party lines, with 2 Republicans joining all Democrats in supporting the amendment.
Oh, wait, and didn't John Fetterman? I thought John Fetterman voted against it. Didn't John Fetterman vote against this? I know he voted to reopen the government. I'm pretty sure John Fetterman voted against this, but I could be wrong.
Not both sides. It was the Republicans voting against this shit.
It says 2 Republicans joining the Democrats in supporting the amendment to defeat it. So
right there, the guest actually has it right.
Yeah, he got it wrong.
Not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's instinct, his reflex, as much as he's become critical of Trump, is that, okay, it must be the Democrats trying to shut this down. Republicans are pro releasing the Epstein files, and Democrats, along with 2 Republicans, voted to support an amendment which would stop the release of the Epstein files. Except he's got it wrong. And watch him realize it.
Why would they? Why are the Democrats interested in defeating it?
What? Oh, poor Joe, dude. Oh.
Well, let's ask. No, I think this is saying that the Democrats want it to come out and the Republicans don't.
Okay.
And party lines. Let's ask Perplexity. Why won't they release the Epstein?
So I was gonna. There's a
Sean, it's a TRT, dude. I'm telling you, like, I was trying to get some TRT from my doctor because I was like lifting weights all the time. I saw a lot of work. I mean, I like to lift weights and stuff, but if I could just be like massive and not have to lift weights, that'd be pretty dope. That's actually what I said to my doctor, and he did look at me like I was retarded. Okay. He did look at me like, fuck is wrong with you? Are you stupid? And I was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, but we could take a test. And he was like, yeah, we can take a test. And then he came back and he's like, your testosterone's fine. I was like, but it could be bad. We don't know where this is going. Anyways, this is TRT. I'm telling you, you can't do copious amounts of drugs, drink tons of whiskey, use TRT, take a bunch of fucking psychedelics, and then come out of all of that shit with a fully functioning frontal lobe. It's science.
Eric Swalwell, who's I guess.
I read it wrong. Read it wrong. No. Okay. So the Democrats were not. The Democrats were pushing this. The Republicans.
Oh, my bad, Dean. You are. Wait, that was no. That was the Senate, though, Dean. It's 51-49. That's Senate. Isn't that Senate 51-49? Because there's like 400 members of the House. 436, 219, 216, 435 House. Because it's 51-49. So wasn't that Senate?
Yes.
Fought against it. Okay, I fucked that up. So 51-49 is crazy. So they just voted along party lines. So they probably told.
I should have blamed Tylenol scouts. When my doctor look at me like I took some Tylenol this morning.
Told to do this.
Exactly. Told to do this by Donald Trump, by Senate Republican leader John Thune, and by House Republican Speaker Mike Johnson. The Republican leadership opposes the release of the Epstein files.
Drugs, whiskey, and estrogen. That's how you do it. Yeah, I didn't ask him. I should have tried. Some estrogen. Fuck it. It'd definitely make my pecs bigger.
Because Trump finds this politically inconvenient and damaging to him. And what you see that Rogan's epiphany, that Donald Trump gave the order to Republicans to defeat the release of the Epstein files, and that it was Democrats, not Republicans, that tried to do the very thing that Joe Rogan has been demanding for months, if not years.
Right. So what the fuck's in there, man?
Well, so then they've been. Not only is the government shut down right now, I think that might affect it some, but they're in recess. Congress is, and so this Eric Swalwell said this stuff today. Again, it might not be true, but
It's coming to an end, guys. I've spoken to a lot of House Republicans this week, and they confided that Trump's movement support is fading. As one told me, this Epstein bomb is about to drop, and no one wants to defend a pedo protector. It's just a matter of time, Swalwell said in a thread. One Republican just texted me that if there's a discharge vote on Epstein, they expect a jailbreak of over 100 members. Trump will go nuts, he added.
So they said, this further goes on to say that if they get back, that this is the first thing on the docket. And that's
yeah, I actually don't believe what Swalwell said. I don't believe that. I think he might, maybe people are telling him that, but I don't think that's true. I don't think that there's going to be a jailbreak from Republicans. The only reason that they would do that is if they thought that vote coming from the woman in Arizona when she's sworn in led to them having to disclose their vote to everybody, but they just did it. They just showed that they'll vote against it. So I don't see. I think what Swalwell's saying is hyperbolic, and at best, it's somebody lying to him and saying, "No, bro, like totally, I'll vote."
sort of what's holding them back in recess right here.
Wow, we are watching wild history in real time,
Dude.
Exactly, which is that the Republican Party, led by Donald Trump, is walking.
The Senate is 53-47. Hawley and Rand Paul joined the Dems. Wait, how did it get 51 votes then? Wouldn't it have to be 4? I'm going to have to look at who voted and who didn't.
Back a major campaign promise to provide transparency in the release of the Epstein files, that they are spending political capital, that they are fighting like hell, that they are bending over backwards to avoid that.
Dude, we all do it. Every alternative media influencer now, every content creator, we all go into the Trump voice when we say the shit he says. That's the actual Trump derangement syndrome. To be honest with you, I mean, the real Trump derangement syndrome is fucking Trump supporters that fucking own so much Trump shit. It's weird, dude. It's weird. I've said this before. It's gonna be weird when these people die and their kids are in their fucking house, like getting their shit out, and there's just like all this Trump merch. God, that's going to be surreal for these kids. It's going to be so weird. But the real Trump derangement syndrome is actually all of us fucking alt media content creators that start talking with our hands when we're talking about shit because of Trump, because we've been doing Trump impersonations for like 9 years.
Sort of transparency. And that's what Joe Rogan, like his mind is blown. Like, oh my God. I've been complaining about the Democratic Party nonstop, how much they suck.
I'm an idiot. Dan, you're correct. I'm an idiot. 51-49. I'm as bad as Rogan right now. 51-49. Republicans were 51. -2. Yes. Okay. Yep. Dan, just act like I didn't say anything, Dan.
And remember, Joe Rogan, he's been caught in some awkward moments. You remember that it was either 2023 or 2024. Rogan went viral trying to make fun of President Biden for a gaffe. Like, Biden screwed this thing up. Like, just ridiculous. He said this one thing, Jamie, pull it up. Pull it up.
Dude, not once. He's gone fucking viral for getting this shit wrong multiple times. There's a time that he said that there's a big old black dude with a beard and a dress trying to get into a bathroom, and he's like, this mom, she was so brave. She was like yelling at this dude and being like you're not gonna go in there with my daughter. And like Jamie's like, I think this was a skit. And he's like, it was what? It was a skit. And he's like, oh. Well, if those are actors, they're really good. It's like, Joe, they're not good actors. It's a skit on YouTube. You're just fucking getting high and scrolling TikTok and getting rage baited, dog. You're an old man. That's what old men do.
Yeah. And the quote he was referring to, the gaffe, was of Donald Trump. Remember talking about, George Washington having to defeat the airports in the Revolution?
No, it was during the American Revolution. Yeah. He's like, the planes. He's talking about the airports being bombed in the American Revolution.
War. So the quote comes up, and Rogan realizes it was Trump, not Biden, who said the thing that he was making fun of. And you see him like just deflate and retire, like, oh, go ahead, take it off. I mean, yeah, that's funny, right?
Natalie, I'm gonna give the hot take, because Natalie says, I don't understand how he got famous from podcasts. His comedy sucks. So here's the hot take. I liked Joe Rogan, right? Between, I would say, 2016, 2021, right? The reason I liked him was because, like, my buddy would constantly talk about Joe Rogan. You gotta watch his podcast, Brian Redband, blah, blah, all this stuff. And I was always like, no, I've never been a Howard Stern guy either. I've never been into, like, the shock jock shit, right? So for years, I never watched it. But then he started bringing on physicists, and he started bringing on neuroscientists, and he started bringing on archaeologists. And then I started watching him. And during that time, I really do think that his podcast was the best podcast to listen to. But it wasn't because of Joe Rogan. It was because he was bringing on people that were legit fucking amazing. Brian Cox is like a phenomenal physicist and a great communicator. I've actually seen Brian Cox in person in San Francisco for a lecture on black holes. And fantastic, absolutely fantastic guy. And really what happened was all of those people stopped going on his show because of the shit that he started doing. I mean, I don't have any inside information. This is just my opinion. But they stopped going on his show because he started dabbling so hard in conspiracy. And a lot of those people have real careers, working real fucking jobs where, like, dabbling in conspiracy theory and shit like that will get you ousted. And I think that Rogan's part on the podcast that made the podcast good was that he would ask questions that meathead like me would ask. And that would be like, hold on. Okay, what makes the sun hot, though? Like, I know a lot of things now because I've spent so much time researching and learning about science and physics and astronomy, not astrology, right? Not fucking Capricorns and Scorpios, but stars. And things like philosophy, all those things. But 10 years ago, I was an idiot. I mean, I'm still an idiot, but I was much more of an idiot 10 years ago. In fact, I've told people before, I bought multiple books from watching guests on Joe Rogan's podcast during that time. The Happiness Hypothesis from Jonathan Haidt, amazing book, great book. William von Hippel's Social Leap, great book. I'm trying to remember the book that they did on the twins and DNA sequencing and how the twins, even though they were separated, they still had like the same traits and stuff. Steven Pinker's Enlightenment, great book for statistics and showing positivity on like where the world was going until all this shit happened. But yeah, that's what I would say. That's my hot take, is that a lot of the people during the 2016, 2020, when he got popular, was actually, that was a good, like you can go watch it now and you can watch, I bet you money, if you went and watched a episode with Jonathan Haidt, with Brian Cox, you would like it. And you would find yourself going, what the fuck? Why am I liking a Joe Rogan podcast? Because Joe Rogan was like, literally, there's videos of him fighting with Candace Owens over climate change and being like, climate change is real and you're an idiot. Because he was bringing on real scientists that legit knew what the fuck they were talking about during that time. And even multiple times during those podcasts, Joe Rogan would say things like, I used to be a conspiracy theorist. No, dude, like I used to think that the moon landing wasn't real. Like he would say those things and you'd have Neil deGrasse Tyson there, or you'd have Brian Cox, or you'd have Sean Carroll. You'd have, physicists and quantum physicists that would like laugh at him and he'd be like, no, I don't believe that shit anymore. The moon landing's real. And then if you've noticed, none of those people go on his show anymore. And now he is only around comedians, fighters, and conspiracy theorists. And I truly believe that Joe Rogan is just an extremely malleable human being, as many people in MAGA are. And that's why I don't think MAGA is something that you can cure, right? Because to cure MAGA of the disease that infects their brain, you need to get them away from the other people in the cult. And that's just not possible anymore. They're feral. They can't exist in society, and anybody that has any intelligence at all doesn't want anything to do with them, right? So that's why I think that the MAGA movement is hopeless as far as any kind of.
He was hypocritical because he wanted to bash the Democrats and praise Trump.
Whatever, golf, don't flex on me.
And now you see that worldview just slowly unraveling over time. That the party that he has been relentlessly mocking is obviously deeply flawed, and I say this as a Democrat, but objectively better than the party that for the past several years he's been defending. And the Epstein files is just a great example.
Yep. That's a great point. What he just said right there. I like what he just said right there.
That worldview just slowly unraveling over time. That the party that he has been relentlessly mocking is obviously deeply flawed, and I say this as a Democrat, but objectively better than the party that for the past several years he's been defending. And the Epstein files.
And that point gets lost when people say, I'm always voting for the lesser evil, right? I do agree that oftentimes you are only voting for the lesser evil, but sometimes Democrats are just so self-analytical, so self-critical about like their own candidates and stuff like that, that they forget that nobody's perfect. You're never going to have a person that does everything you want, not to even get into the nuance of the machinations of government and how the Republicans use the left's want to play by the rules against them. The left is flawed because the left is full of human beings, but it is undeniable that wanting healthcare for everybody, wanting to make sure that people are treated equally is better than what we're seeing right now from Donald Trump. And even when we get to places where all like discuss things with conservatives, right? Like I said, conservatives, not MAGA Republicans, with center right or conservative or libertarian people. Like there are things that we will agree on because like when we talk about immigration, right? I do think illegal immigration is bad, but I think about that it's bad for reasons different than Republicans. I think illegal immigration is bad because then they use those people, right? So I don't think that illegal immigration should be allowed because of the fact that we want to have these people treated just as well as we are treated. And when they are here and they're under the auspice of being deported for any reason, people take advantage of them. Corporations take advantage of them. Trump takes advantage of them. Farms take advantage of them. And in that whole circle, that also drives down wages of people that are here legally as well, right? So like when we talk about that between conservatives and Democrats, The reason I say the Democratic Party is 100% better is because my point of view is that, yeah, sure, I don't want people to be here illegally, but not because I don't think that they have a right to be here, because I think that they're being taken advantage of when they are here. Thus, we should have a better system, more judges. The app thing was going really well as far as getting like appointments for all these people. We should have more open availability to get people here that want to be here, that want to work, that don't want to be taken advantage of. And the right's opinion of that is just close the border. That's fucking insane.
It's just a great example. Elected Democrats who didn't campaign on releasing the Epstein files. That wasn't their bag. That wasn't their claim. That wasn't their promise. They're actually doing a better job fighting harder to keep Trump's promises to his base than Trump himself is.
Right?
Because he bullshit people
funny.
like Joe Rogan. He lied to people like Joe Rogan in order to get their support, in order to get their votes, and then he gave them the finger the moment he no longer needed them. So the quote he was referring to, or that rather was being read about Eric Swalwell, that did make a lot of news. Eric Swalwell claimed that multiple House Republican colleagues informed him that they're planning a jailbait revolt of over 100 lawmakers against Donald Trump if there's a discharge petition to force a vote on the Epstein files release. The long-awaited vote, pushed by Representative Thomas Massie, another Republican, has been delayed as the House remains in recess amid a government shutdown, but it reportedly has enough signatures to force action once the chamber reconvenes because they have to seat Representative Grijalva, who is a newly elected Democrat, and she says, hell yeah, I'll be one of the first ones to sign. Again,
Who should have been seated on October 7th. October 7th was when she should have been seated. They chose not to. This is clearly Republicans attempting to keep those Epstein files from being released. It's why they don't care about the fucking government shutdown right now, because they can use it as a shield to keep people from, like Republicans are just, MAGA Republicans are just dumb enough that all you have to do is just say the same thing over and over again. And that is, Democrats want health care for illegals. That's why the shutdown is happening. Then you just hear that repeated like fucking nonstop by MAGA Republicans and conservatives, because conservatives don't want to feel like they're a part of the Democratic movement. So even though they may want the Epstein files released, they won't agree because then they feel like they'll get kicked out of their gang.
Remind you of what she had to say in just a moment. It's coming to an end, guys. I've spoken to a lot of House Republicans this week, and they've concluded that Trump's movement/support is fading. As one told me, quote, this Epstein bomb is about to drop, and no one wants to defend a pedo protector. It's just a matter of time, end quote. One Republican just texted me and said that if there's a discharge vote on Epstein, they expect a jailbreak of over 100 members. Trump will go nuts. Indeed, House Speaker Mike Johnson is facing growing bipartisan criticism for the voting delay, with critics accusing him of extending the recess to avoid the politically explosive issue. Again, even Thomas Massie's pointed out, the government shut down, but the House refuses to go back in session. Why are we in recess? Because the day we go back into session, I have 218 votes for the discharge petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. Mike Johnson does not want that to be the news. Other Republicans, including MAGA hardliner Marjorie Taylor Greene, urge Johnson to recall the lawmakers. Quote, not being in session certainly does avoid the Epstein discharge petition, which I've never understood why there's anything to hide. Aren't we all against convicted pedophiles and anyone who enables them?
Dude, when, like, libertarians siding with Democrats on this issue makes sense to me. The fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene, there is a bar. There has to be a bar for conservatives, right? I mean, there has to be, right? There's no bar. What am I saying? There's no bar. But if that bar did exist, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene would be pretty much near the bottom, right? And the bar is Marjorie Taylor Greene now. We're at a point where Marjorie Taylor Greene is looking around at the people in the Republican Party and being like, yo, why aren't we voting on this? Jewish space lasers is fucking over there right now. A woman who agreed that Ruth Bader Ginsburg might or might not have been a clone at one point or another. By the way, look that shit up. She said that shit. Well, she said, yeah, I do agree. She didn't say it. Somebody else said it. And then she said that she agreed it was a possibility. This woman is now agreeing with the Democrats. I don't know how to make this right.
Told Axios on Monday. Well, what Greene is unfortunately still too stupid to understand is that her cult leader, Donald Trump, does not indeed does not support her mission at all and is the single greatest obstacle in that coming true.
Now, that's actually a really good That's a really good point, Sean. She's just covering her own ass. That's when I think if there is a jailbreak, right, Sean? If there is a jailbreak, like Swalwell says, then I'm going to guess that those are people that recognize that it's time to start covering their own ass, right? Like that's got to be, right? That's got to be what it is.
I want to play a couple of clips of the newly elected Democrat whom Johnson is refusing to swear in because she is the 218th vote.
Is there any information that you understand to be holding this up?
That, first of all, that's a dope ass necklace. That is, I like that necklace.
Other than your 218th vote on the discharge petition for the Epstein files?
You know, I really had consistently in my life tried to come up with like, what is the most plausible reason? Yeah. Not, you know, conspiracy.
Yeah, that's painful nowadays, actually. Don't do that. That hurts.
Conspiracy theory, because that sort of came out really early on. But this is really the only thing I can point to, and perhaps this time is giving Speaker Johnson an opportunity to try to lobby the other 4 Republicans who have signed on to try to convince them to take their name off.
Oh, solid, Adelita. That's actually a really good point. He's using this time right now to try to get the Republicans that have signed on to take their name off. He's probably trying to figure out some way of kicking the can down the road and telling them things like, no, like just don't sign this. We'll for sure get them released. We just got to do it on our own time because he's a politician. Hey, what's happening, Janelle?
It's the only thing I can think of because the only people losing out here are the constituents from Arizona CD7 who elected me to do a job, and Speaker Johnson is now allowing me to do that.
Yeah, so that's Representative Grijalva there saying, yeah, this is the most plausible explanation. It's depriving my district without any sort of representation. And as a reminder, Mike Johnson was perfectly happy as a clam, to create pro forma sessions, right, to basically summon Congress back in order in these pro forma sessions to swear in 2
Yeah, I was going to say Randy Fine and another guy.
Republicans in order to pad his majority. He was happy to do that. This idea that, what he's doing is you're asking him to do something which is extraordinary, which he doesn't do. Bullshit. He's done it twice this year.
Yep.
Only to help himself. He's deliberately going out of his way to try to buy Trump time for Trump in order to pressure Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Nancy Mace. Those are the 4 Republicans who have signed on to the Epstein discharge petition to subtract.
Nancy Mace is the one. If I were a betting man, I would bet Nancy Mace takes her name off. If I were a betting man, Nancy Mace takes her name off.
One of their votes. So they're going to try to milk this for as long as possible. And the day to return keeps getting pushed out by Johnson. So, yeah, this is big. This is a major step. Joe Rogan, the biggest, most influential podcaster in the world, MAGA-coded, MAGA-adjacent, who helped in a very real way sanitize and launder Donald Trump to a mainstream audience once again after all of his various indiscretions and crimes and authoritarian tendencies. Joe Rogan is realizing in time that even though both parties are flawed, the Republican Party, at least in terms of its politicians and leadership, is objectively morally inferior.
Yeah, and so what I was going to say, too, is what I hate about watching all this shit is people always do that. They always go, wow, that's crazy. So the right's covering up shit, too. It's like, no, the left isn't covering up anything here. I mean, you could say certain people on the left might be, but obviously none of the senators because they're all voting for it, right? Even, I guess, Fetterman, because I thought Fetterman didn't. But I'm probably mixing up the fact that Fetterman voted to reopen the government. But I hate seeing people do this thing where they see the shit the right is doing, and they're like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that Republicans are with this. Man, that's crazy. And then they go, yeah, dude, I guess you just, like, you can't win. You're like, fuck you mean you can't vote for the Democrat? You're like, oh, they do crazy stuff too. Like, you are literally sitting here right now saying they are doing the thing that you want them to do. In fact, you're doing the thing that you wanted Trump to do. And then you're like, wow, it's just, I guess we're just fucked. This shit drives me up a fucking wall. Natalie, did you vote for MTG? Or Nancy Mace? All right. What else we got going on? Let's see what else. We got some other. Oh, let's watch this because this shit looked funny. And we were just talking about Mike Johnson anyways. I mean, I had a lot, guys. I had a lot queued up for this one, okay? I had a lot. So let's watch this one. I was like, I got on like 2 hours before this shit, okay? Yeah, team sports is breaking the brains of voters. Exactly. Like I said, I think parties should be abolished. I don't think that you should get financial help from your party. I don't think that like everybody should have to walk around with no fucking affiliation, so that way you don't know who is going to vote for you or vote against you. You only think you do. Like, this shit needs to go full Game of Thrones. Like, that's what would make politics better. Like a Game of Thrones. I know you guys are like, wait, hold on. Don't people like murder? Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of sex. A lot of alcohol. Some drugs. And occasionally someone falls out a window like in Russia. I'm just saying, guys, if people didn't have parties and had to only run on their policies, on not just on their policies, but on the explanations of why they like those policies, I think that politics would be better. Just get rid of the goddamn parties, man. The one that likes to yell slurs at our state house. Isn't that MTG? I'm pretty sure that's MTG. All right. So this is I figured we watch this one because it's got Mike Johnson getting made fun of it, and Mike Johnson's really funny to watch get made fun of because Mike Johnson's not from this world where, and I don't mean Earth, I mean this world of new politics where people talk shit. Like everybody, like your Mark Wayne Mullins and your Jim Jordans, even your fucking James Comers, those guys all kind of like, they kind of get it. They kind of understand. They're not good at it, but they kind of get like what's going on and understand. Mike Johnson is still operating like he's like the fucking dad in the house that's like, we have to keep things civil. And even though behind the scenes I'm doing some really shady shit, I've got to act like on the outside that I'm just a normal human being just like you guys. I'm definitely not a reptilian. And when people like call him out on his shit to his face, it's hilarious to watch. So this is a video I saw. I think it's from TYT Sports. This is like 3 TYT videos in like 2 days or 2 shows. This is crazy for us. But like I said, I do like I like J.A.G. No, that's a running back for the Eagles. Yeah, the other guy, Jay. I think he's the black dude. And I like the Islandora guy too. Why is his name so hard to say as well? Get some regular ass names I can pronounce, guys, like fucking Jim.
What's your reaction to Bad Bunny being chosen as the Super Bowl halftime performance?
I didn't even know who Bad Bunny was, but it sounds like
he's lying.
like a terrible decision, in my view, from what I'm hearing. What's that?
How come?
Watch that one more time. Dude, that was amazing.
What's your reaction to Bad Bunny being chosen as the Super Bowl halftime performance?
I didn't even know who Bad Bunny was, but it sounds like a terrible decision, in my view, from what I'm hearing. What's that?
How come?
Just the fucking, he doesn't know how to respond to this shit, dude. He has no idea. What's that? $5. Thank you, Fantra Death. When you said Game of Thrones, my immediate thought was incest, and I was like, don't the Republicans already do that? I was going to say that, but I didn't want to, fan. I was afraid that I said it, like people would get mad, but obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene's parents were related, so that's some Jamie and Cersei shit going on there.
Well, it sounds like he's not someone who appeals to a broader audience, and I think, there's...
Isn't Bad Bunny like one of the most popular musicians in the world right now? Like I don't know about Bad Bunny's music either, but I'm pretty sure everybody else likes him.
So many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children, and I think, in my view, you would have Lee Greenwood.
Did he say Lee Greenwood?
Role models doing that, not somebody like... There's so many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children, and I think, in my view, you would have Lee Greenwood or role models doing that, not some...
Who was the second guy he said there? Did he say the robots?
You know, there's so many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children, and I think, in my view, you would...
Role models. Lee Greenwood, brother. Dude, the only person that thinks Lee Greenwood is popular is Mike Johnson and Donald Trump. Like, 99% of fucking America right now has no idea who the fuck Lee Greenwood is. And 96% has never heard a single sign outside of I'm proud to be an American, okay? Why the fuck would they play Lee Greenwood?
Have Lee Greenwood or role models doing that, not somebody like this.
Wait, did this man say the Super Bowl halftime show not only needs to feature Lee Greenwood, but also that it should be about...
Somebody on Blue Sky just posted that the password to tonight's Antifa meeting is acetaminophen.
Protecting children? Is that so? Are you insane?
People are losing their minds because Bad Bunny is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show.
I love Josh Johnson.
This is incredible. The level of upset. You ever see somebody get so mad that you're like, this is just weird? Like, not even, we're past like the levels of angry I expect you to get, and we're into a new realm where it knocks me out of even any sort of reactionary response. I'm more just like, are you okay?
A fair point, because it's exactly how many feel. We have reached a new level with the
I don't know if you guys have seen Shane Gillis talking about it, but that shit was really funny. He's just like, I don't get it. I don't like, why are you so mad about this? This is like, in any other time, like, you would just understand that, like, oh, I don't know who Bad Bunny is, and it's like, it's not that big of a deal because, like, I mean, I'm just gonna literally just probably be so drunk by halftime that it's not gonna matter. And let me just tell you guys this, all right? I work with a lot of musicians. I work with a lot of people that play music and do it for their job as well, right? Like real musicians. And they listen to Puerto Rican music. They listen to cumbia. They listen to really good music. And I'll tell you this. I don't need to know the names of those performers, but they're all fucking amazing. And I'll tell you this. 6 tequilas in to the Super Bowl, especially if my team is winning, it doesn't matter who's playing in the Super Bowl, if it's Bad Bunny or it's Shakira or it's The Who. I'm going to be dancing to that shit, all right? And it's not going to be good, and nobody should record that. That would be bad. That would end my career. But I will be doing something that looks like dancing, but most people won't consider it dancing.
outrage.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is because I'm about ready to do my commentary on it. But do you think Bad Bunny is a good choice for the Super Bowl?
I'm not that knowledgeable about him, but it seems fine, and I don't know why it's a big deal. Seems like a great American artist, so sure.
He's
why
not an American artist, but
he's Puerto Rican. That's part of America, dear.
Beyond embarrassing, but
they had other people ask him, and he was like, "Hey, look, I don't do shows here right now because I don't need ICE hanging outside of my shows trying to do some sort of sting or something like that. If you want to see me bad enough, I'll be doing a bunch of shows in Puerto Rico. You can come to Puerto Rico." And plenty of people were like, "Puerto Rico? Where's that?" Because it's actually terrifying. It is like bone-chilling scary how many people who live in the U.S., like U.S. citizens, that don't know what land the U.S. has.
It appeared she got us.
You should ask him about Guam. I'm telling you, one of the fucking bonuses, one of the silver linings to all this is all the people learning shit. Like, Tammy right there learned Crystal Ball learned her, okay? Crystal Ball just learned Tammy that Puerto Rico is part of America, and that's a beautiful moment, you know? Like when the white trash people start learning shit that they should have been taught when they were like 10. And I say this out of the necessity of being honest with you guys, because I grew up white trash and I am a trailer park person. And that conversation where you're like, Brenda, where's Puerto Rico? What? You don't know where? I don't know where it is either, but there's a man named Black Bunny. I think he's Mexican. Is Puerto Rico in Mexico, Brenda? Oh, okay. I guess I'm not watching the Super Bowl this year.
Special shout out by Josh Johnson himself. So kudos to her.
He said he would never do a concert in the United States or America, but then he gets this. Oh, of course, I'll do the halftime. Why choose him? Because Jay-Z, his company called Rock Nation, who has partnered with the NFL.
Holy shit, I love this. She knows about Jay-Z and Rock Nation. I know she doesn't know who Jay-Z is, but this is what I'm talking about right here, guys. This old-ass white Republican woman has now learned about Jay-Z, Rock Nation, dude. Like, this is actually a good thing. We're giving these people culture. Brenda, who's Jay-Z? Does he own Rock Nation?
Of course, I'll do the halftime. Why choose him? Because Jay-Z, his company called Rock Nation, who has partnered with the NFL since 2019, Jay-Z gets to pick. He's best buddies with Obama, with woke culture. Who would want to turn into a man in Spanish, singing in Spanish and not American, and not in English at an American NFL football game? Why would...
Like, does she know who watches football? I'm sure she doesn't know. I don't know why I'm asking this. But does she know that there's a game in New Mexico this year? And there's been a game in New Mexico for years, and that there's a game in Spain? Does she know? Oh my God, no, she doesn't. Why am I even asking this? Like, I mean, does she know how many people in America speak Spanish that watch football? Like, does she know that America is not just white people? I guess that's unfair to say. Does she know that America is not just white people and black people that speak English? Does she know that there are black people that don't speak English? Does she know that there's white people that don't speak English? These are all questions that are now entering my head. Oh, fuck.
Do you want kids to tune into that?
Sorry. Did I say New Mexico? I meant Mexico City. I said Mexico City, right, Ash? Are you calling me out? Am I wrong? Did I say New Mexico? Oh, fuck. What the heck is fisting? Brenda! Nah, that dude knows what fisting is. Oh, shit. New America! Name it New America. Oh, my God. Don't tell them that, Josh. Don't give them any ideas.
I really... and not in English at an American NFL football game. Why would you want kids to tune into that? I really feel he's going to use this as a platform, as a big political statement.
But wouldn't the statement be in Spanish? If a bunch of kids that speak English watched a halftime that had a political message in a language that they didn't know, how much damage is that going to cause?
Meant to say F you United States. He doesn't like Trump. He doesn't like anything in the United States. That's why he didn't want to do concerts here.
Okay. Do you think he's a U.S. citizen, Mom?
I don't know if he is. I know he's from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I don't know
Dad,
if he
do
is.
you think he's a U.S. citizen?
Oh, no, they're getting set up.
I don't think he is he?
In theory, Johnson would have the perfect response to the Unnecessary Conversation podcast as well.
They're so mad. They're mad in a way that's like,
I don't even know. Like even if I wanted to help, I wouldn't even know where to start.
That right there, Josh, that right there. That's the feeling I have all the time. That's why I do what I do. I'm like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. I don't know how you fix these people. I just can't.
Because what are you so mad about? It's like, because it's Super Bowl.
Which, by the way, all these people claim that they stopped watching football like 10 or 15 years ago when a black man knelt during the national anthem. Remember, these are the same people that told you they don't watch football anymore anyways, like a decade ago.
It's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. It's not Spanish Bowl. It's scary, you know? You watch Super Bowl halftime show, these people might, by accident, learn some Spanish. Then what's next? If I learn the Spanish, what's next? If I learn the Spanish, what happens then? Because if I learn the Spanish, then when people are speaking Spanish, I'll know what they're saying, and there's no way they're saying anything nice about me.
This is exactly it. Why do they fear this so much? It's like Trump has poisoned their brains over the last 9-ish years, along with hard right politics.
Hey, did you guys hear Bad Bunny is doing the NFL halftime show? Can't wait to see ICE arrest him on stage live at the halftime show.
Oh my God. These are their people. These are their people.
It's gonna be the best halftime show ever. They're gonna show Bad Bunny who the real Bad Bunny is. Didn't he just say he wasn't gonna perform because ICE was going to detain him or arrest him? Well, now it looks like the NFL set it up so we all get to watch it during the halftime show. This is gonna...
Bro, why are you in your daughter's room right now doing a fucking podcast? Like, someone tell me that this man is not in his daughter's room doing a podcast. Like, his kid's about to pop up in the back and being like, Bad Bunny's doing a Super Bowl? Oh, that shit's gonna be hype. Why is there a doll in the background? And those curtains definitely look like, no, that's his daughter's room. That's definitely his daughter's room.
It'll be literally the best halftime show the NFL put on. Bad Bunny, expect to get detained during the halftime show. Let's go, Trump.
My lord, how out of touch some folks are is alarming.
So much of the culture, so much of what people like about a culture that they're willing to take in, they try to do as best as possible to the exclusion of the people that the culture is actually from, right? So you'll see how people of Latin descent have been treated in this country the entire time, while we fall in love with more and more and more and more of their stuff. You know what I mean? And it's something that obviously happens to black people. It's something that's happened to Asian Americans and everything, but it's something that doesn't always get addressed, is that if you loved what we make, then just love us. We made it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing to love almost every aspect of a culture and then meet the person who created that culture and be like, I don't know if I trust you though.
Oh, well, preach on.
And that's what I was about to say, is every one of these people will say, well, I do like some of them. I like the good blacks. I like the good Mexicans. I like the good Asians. And what they mean when they say that is they mean I like people that don't make me feel insecure. I don't like people when my racism, when it goes off and I say fucked up shit to them, that they don't get mad, that they just prostrate themselves and they just recognize that I'm the better person, and the fact that they're a minority makes them much worse. Like that's what they think is good. And that's why this is a problem. And he's right. Because I've told this story quite a few times, but I grew up mostly around skinheads and peckerwoods and featherwoods, supreme white supreme white power, white supremacist gangs, Nazi lowriders, right? And then over time, the demographic of the area that I was in changed a bit, and I was never welcomed by those people, by the Nazis, actual Nazis. Fucking, they're called the Nazi lowriders. I was embraced by the black people that moved into the neighborhood, and slowly more of those people made their way to a place called Oildale, California, which is where all the racist people are. And the more black people that began to get in this neighborhood, the more that I was accepted into the culture. And to this day, I can never repay the debt of what I gained, both in safety and mental health and knowledge and confidence, that I gained from black culture. And it's just insane to me that people can have this point of view that he's pointing out right now. Because the reason that I feel the way I do, the reason that I embrace other cultures, not just black culture, but lots of other cultures, is because I benefited so heavily from the things in their cultures that helped me to become the person that I am today. And for that, I love their culture. I love those people. And that doesn't mean that, like people will go, oh, so you don't like being white? No, I am who I am. I like being a ginger. We're the smallest minority in the world. Red-haired, blue-eyed gingers are actually the smallest. But what it means is that I know who I am as a person, and part of who I am as a person, a lot of who I am as a person, is not determined by my skin color. It's determined by my experiences. And those experiences had a lot to do with other people's cultures, and it makes me appreciate them that much more.
Here, dude. Activist and commentator Brittany Packnett Cunningham wrote of the Super Bowl selection, I hope Bad Bunny performs only in Spanish, in dialect so specific, with slang so particular, in an accent so defined, at such an ambitious speed and cadence that no Duolingo streak could ever prepare me. Everything is not for all of us, but we get the privilege to see it. Resistance.
Wait. Jeremy, are you saying you think that dude was smoking the ganja in his kid's room?
Is a common language, even if you don't know the words being spoken. I'ma understand, even when I don't understand. He's already got to speak the language of one colonizer. Stop demanding he speak another. Wired's Anna Lagos put in her piece, a chorus of right-wing commentators and influencers activated a now familiar script. Johnson, as in Benny, branded him a massive Trump hater and an anti-ICE activist. Jack Posobiec, who, according to the SPLC, is a Nazi, a prominent Pizzagate promoter, took aim at Jay-Z, whose company Rock Nation produces the Super Bowl halftime show, as the architect of cultural engineering. The N Wokeness account, which Posobiec allegedly runs, and it features 4 million followers, resorted to visual mockery, posting an image of Bad Bunny in a dress in response to the announcement. Lagos continues, these attacks are not random. They are textbook tactics of a culture war that seeks to mobilize its base by...
Natalie, you might have obviously you just beat me out as a minority, and that feels like you're just flexing on me.
Identifying a symbolic enemy. In this case, Bad Bunny. Not only is he an artist who sings predominantly in Spanish, a fact that influencer Mario Nafal countered by saying that the average halftime viewer in Des Moines doesn't speak fluent reggaeton, but his activism is explicit, consistent, and directly antagonistic to the ideological platform of American conservatism. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please.
This is the dumbest timeline. I can't say that enough. I'm just gonna keep saying it because I think it needs to be. People need to just keep saying it. we all need to be saying how dumb this timeline is, because somebody at one point or another is going to be like, hold on, I'm going to clean this shit up. Right? Can we please just keep saying over and over again how dumb this timeline is? This is like, it's like when you used to look at your news page when you log on to your computer, and a lot of us, most of us, saw a lot of the stuff that would come across in our news feed, and we'd be like, why the fuck do I care about that? Like, who cares who Kim Kardashian is having a child from today? Why do I care about Brad Pitt's relationships? Like it literally, this shit is like our news feed on steroids. And I think that's on purpose. And I think that also Donald Trump, he created this. You have to give him credit for that. Donald Trump scraped the bottom of the voter pool. He really did. He found people that did not want to vote, did not have any reason to vote, and he Jerry Springered their ass off a fucking couch and into the voting booths, and we have not recovered since then. And I'm never going to be an advocate for people having their vote taken away, because I do understand the slippery slope of saying only certain people that can pass, let's say, a hypothetical test on the things they're voting on, only those people should vote. But I'm going to say this, letting some people, like, not encouraging to vote those people, I think that's a valid option. I think some people should not be interested in voting. They should probably just chill and let that shit just pass them by. Because I just feel like they're not very good at this. It's just my personal opinion. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, guys. All right, I wanted to watch this Bush video, and then we're going to watch some funny videos. I'm going to laugh at some shit. I've been laughing all night. This is a pretty good show. Are you guys having fun tonight? I'm turning into I'm like a strip club DJ now. You guys having a good time out there? Welcome to the stage, Crystal. All right, let's get a round of applause. I hope you guys are having a nice night. This Saturday, if you guys are enjoying some drinks, glad you're enjoying your drinks. Remember to drive safely. Always have a designated driver. All right, guys. I want you guys to get home safely. Okay? If my viewer count goes from 50 to 49 on Wednesday, I know one of you didn't make it home. All right? So I didn't tell you guys while I was out. We went to this casino. I don't gamble, by the way. I like my money where it is, in my bank account. All right? Not a gambler. Okay? So most of the time when other people are gambling, I'm usually just standing around watching them gamble and giving them emotional support. That's what I'm there for. I'm there to cheer on the winning, right? And while I was standing there, quite drunk, some guy came up to me and asked me if I wanted tickets to a show. Now, this show that he was trying to give me tickets to were the it was very white trash. You see, I come from a place, guys. I come from a place where I know a hustler. I know a con man when I see one. And when this gentleman in all Raiders gear, okay, came walking up to me and said, "What's up, buddy?" And I was like, nope. Nope. He's like, "Oh, bro, what's going on, man? Hey, check it out, dude. Man, I got extra ticket because I was hanging out with this bitch and she was going to go to this comedy show with me and I was going to do this shit, but she was acting up. So I was like, get the fuck out of here, So I got an extra ticket and I was like, are you profiling me?" And he was like, "What?" Like, "You profiling me, bro?" He was like, "Oh, no, man. No, I just got an extra ticket. I got an extra ticket. I'll sell you." And he was like, "Okay." And I see his little buddy come walking up with his fucking neck tattoo. And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, guys? Do we want to do this right now?" And he was like, "Nah, it's all good. It's all good." He starts walking away. And I go, "Yeah, and don't say shit about that Eagles game." That's what I'm like when I'm drunk. Just so you guys know. If I look like a person that you think you're going to scam, you are about to have a real bad time. Should have dropped that one. Are you a cop? Are you a cop? Can you skin it? Oh, don't bring that shit up, Golf. Do you put some skin on that? Oh man, I have to say the way I grew up was rough. I don't think anybody should have to grow up the way I grew up. But I'll tell you what, it gives me a special set of skills. Somebody walks up on me, they think they're about to like they're either gonna intimidate me or they're gonna scam me for some shit. I'm like, oh, this is about to be so much fun for me. You have no idea. I have had a lot to drink tonight, and I am looking for this type of confrontation. Oh God, it was good times. It was good times. My mom literally hid her stash before in a sock drawer growing up. I know this girl from school. Her dad hid his cocaine typed under a dresser drawer. I have a really funny story about. Taco Bell, and the lady I was talking about earlier. My best friend's mom, my Aunt Vicky. Rest in peace, Aunt Vicky. Fucking love you. She's her family is all Hell's Angels, and she had this dude living in her house at the time that he just got out of prison. He'd been in prison for like 20 or 30 years for, I think, manslaughter. And so my best friend's mom would hide her Taco Bell. She couldn't put it in the refrigerator because we would eat it. So this is how poor we were. Okay, don't judge me. Well, actually, you can judge me. It's great. So she hid some Taco Bell, some soft tacos. Okay. In her drawer, in her dresser drawer, and my buddy, her son, snuck into the room in the middle of the night and stole the soft tacos out of her drawer because we knew they were in there. All right, you don't need to ask questions. Don't ask me questions, okay? And then we ate them at like 1 a.m. on the couches, and then we woke up. We were sleeping on the couches. We sleep on the couches out in the front because he didn't have a room. You know, his mom had one. It was a one-room little shitty apartment. Really, really fucking shitty. It's middle of the ghetto. And we woke up. I woke up to this old-ass man. And my buddy is a gnarly dude. My buddy at like 13 years old was knocking out like 27-year-old people. Like, you guys might think that that's not possible, but like this dude would knock motherfuckers out. I saw this dude plaster a man's nose across his face after jumping like 2 fences to get to him because he called his mom a bitch. Okay, this man was not somebody that you wanted to try to hold down in the morning. And I woke up to this guy who had been in prison for like 20 or 30 years, holding down my buddy and yelling at him, "Where are the soft tacos?" His mom was in the background. Like, I grabbed the fucking old dude, right? Because I'm probably like 15 at this time, but like this old dude he's not in great condition. And I was pretty small when I was 15, but I grabbed this fucking old dude and yanked him off of my buddy. I'm like, "Get the fuck, what are you doing, bro?" And my buddy gets up, and there's his mom in the background with a belt. And his mom's like 300, okay? And she's a big ass biker chick. And she's just like, "I'm gonna beat your ass." Sorry, I just thought about that from seeing the comment. I saw that comment about putting stuff in your dresser drawer, and that made me think about that. Oh, good times. Oh. George, you know people like that? Oh, man. All right. We gotta get through these last videos. I can't do. I'm talking about stuff. All right. So I just thought it was one of those things that I keep bringing up to you guys, like how crazy this timeline is, how dumb this timeline is, right? And I think that like a lot of times you have to have something to see to like kind of remind you what it used to be like during a time that we thought was bad, but in context, in comparison, not even close, right? And a long time ago, I shared the video of John McCain defending Barack Obama when Barack Obama was debating John McCain at a town hall, or maybe he might not even been there, right? And this old lady said to John McCain, "Isn't he a terrorist?" And John McCain had this really sweet moment where he's like, "Ma'am, like Barack Obama is an American, and Barack Obama is a good man, and if he wins and becomes a president of the United States, he will do a good job. You know, I just think I will be the better candidate for you. And it was like such a beautiful moment, and it just reminds you of, you know, what things used to be like during a time that we really did take for granted, to be fucking honest with you. And you know, like it just, sometimes you need that parallel to be drawn. So I saw this video, and it was one that I remembered, but I couldn't find it. And so I saw that Jair Jackson, who I've messed up his name a bunch of times now, Jair Jackson, sorry, playing this video. I saw he had this, and I was like, dude, that's the video I was looking for. So I wanted to watch this video. This is actually a old Bush interview where he's talking about immigration.
Video that's been floating around. It came across a feed of mine. I think it was maybe on Threads, and it's surprising the way that this guy sounds.
My view is that we are a land of immigrants, and we ought to recognize that. As a matter of fact, I believe America's soul is rejuvenated when people come to our country and work hard to realize dreams. There is an orderly way to have immigration, and that is to recognize people are coming here to do jobs Americans aren't doing, or are not capable of doing, or unwilling to do. And we ought to have a process that enables people to come and do those jobs. It's good for our economy. I think it's, and I think it prevents people from having to sneak in. There are laborers who do jobs people won't do, but there are also incredibly bright students who come. And I think it is a foolhardy policy to limit the number of workers that could contribute, for example, to the productivity of the United States in the internet world. I do believe there will be a rational immigration policy eventually passed. I think there's going to have to be some time. What's interesting about our country, if you study history, is that there are some isms that occasionally pop up. One is isolationism, and its evil twin protectionism, and its evil triplet nativism. So if you study the 20s, for example, there was an American First policy that said, who cares what happens in Europe? Well, what happened in Europe mattered eventually because of World War II. There was Smoot-Hawley, which was a part of an economic policy, which basically said we don't want trade. In other words, let's throw up barriers. And there was an immigration policy that I think during this period argued we had too many Jews and too many Italians, therefore we should have no immigrants. And my point to you is we've been through this kind of period of isolationism, protectionism, nativism. I'm a little concerned that we may be going through the same period. I hope that these isms pass, which would then allow for a more orderly look at immigration policy. But look, I was raised in Texas, and you know, there's a lot of focus on the Hispanic population. I mean, if you're raised in Texas, you understand what it means to interface with Mexican Americans who are Texan, and you realize that we share the same values: faith, family, you know, hard work, commitment to service, and I think we ought to welcome people.
That was George W. Bush.
Yeah, and before Jay gives his point here, I'm just going to say this. I'm not a fan of George Bush Jr. Not a fan of George Bush Sr. I'm pretty sure George Bush Sr. actually is the person who started the H-1B visas. But this is where I diverge, I think, from a lot of people. And that is, like, do I agree with what happened in Iraq? No. 100% no. Do I feel like the lie of there being WMDs in Iraq was manufactured? Yes, I do believe that it was manufactured, and I do think that they lied, and I do think that they found it as an excuse to invade and create connections to Iraq for its oil, as well as stealing a lot of gold and stuff that they took while they were over there. And I also think that it also laid the foundation for what is currently happening in Gaza and Ukraine right now. And so there's a lot that can be said about the Iraq war, and there's a lot that can be said about the other failings of the Bush administration. But I've said this before about conservatives that are center-right or traditionally conservative or even libertarian, and that is when it comes to things like immigration, I actually think that we're much closer on our beliefs than they or we think. And that is, I think both sides want a orderly immigration system. And I think that Democrats want it to be one where people that have already been here, that are doing their thing, that are working, that have never committed crimes. And when I say crimes, I mean actual violent crimes. I don't mean fucking jaywalking tickets or bounce checks like Trump is using right now to deport some of these people. But I think that, that they should have a path to amnesty, because that's what we want. We want better people. We want more people. We want people that can, participate and be a part of a healthy society. And to be honest with you, they're probably so much more sane than actual Americans are right now. And, I might not agree with George Bush on a lot of things, but I bet that we could have a conversation on immigration. And not to mention, I also don't think that George Bush Jr. was the actual president. I think Dick Cheney was the president, in my opinion. But, that's a different argument, and there's no reason to make excuses for the failings of that administration. But also something that I think a lot of people don't know is that George Bush Jr. was actually really well read, which is crazy. I found that out during my interview with the guy from Ronald Gruner from who wrote COVID Wars, and that was pretty crazy, because we talked about how George Bush Jr. actually was very aware of the fact that there was a pandemic that was coming. Just so you guys know, George Bush Jr. predicted COVID. It's fucking insane. But that's like. So when I say that, like, we had things so much better during that time, I don't mean that there was nothing bad that was going on. Capitalism has been an issue for a really long time. The effects on the people have been around forever. But I want to point out that I don't think that any person is perfect. I don't think that any person, whether they are left or right, whether they're a politician or they're a voter, is a perfect human being that has never made any mistakes. I've said this to you guys so many times in my past, is that, like, if you knew me 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, you might not have liked me. Like, my education to being a better person and being a more well-rounded human being has been a process. And even today, during this stream, I probably made at least a couple jokes that people are like, yeah, I don't know if I'm with that. Because growing up doesn't stop. You never stop growing up. You grow up until you die. And so, I want to always remember that when people don't reside on the extremes and choose to have conversation, that's really important. So when I say I think we took for granted that time, I don't mean that I agree with a lot of the stuff that happened during Bush's administration. What I mean is that there was still a way to have conversations about a lot of those things. And those conversations definitely were more tractable and were definitely more simply had. So that's what I mean. I just wanted to make sure before he starts this thing that I said that.
Possibly one of our,
silent, you are perfect. Just yes.
less thinking presidents that we've had. We talked about him when I first started with TYT. That was the guy. That was the focus. That was the guy that started the Iraq War on false pretenses, which they still haven't really talked about in full degree. The guy who also profited off of those wars, who tortured people, and they said it was fine.
Yeah, Jay's actually jumping in here with what Jeremy just said. Like, Jeremy just brought up a lot of things that we could talk about. The Patriot Act, the fact that the Heritage never got hold of the Heritage Foundation, or the fact that the MAGA movement today is the Tea Party of then. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that can be talked about. Yeah, but even in saying all of that, even just saying all of that, I'm not going to deny that we could have had a conversation over immigration.
To torture. And he's there talking about immigration. And the three isms. Isolation and protectionism and nativism. Talked about the America First policy of the 20s. Talked about Smoot-Hawley and the destruction of trade. And talked about this anti-immigration approach and talking about brown people in general, how they shouldn't be othered. This guy, who did all those horrible, horrific things, started wars, and honestly, by the way, was a part of the head of the Republican Party that led us to this point of having someone like a Donald Trump in office who's a complete and utter fascist. Yes, it was always headed down that direction. There was hatred towards Muslims. It called everyone that's brown a terrorist. All that stuff happened. And I keep seeing this video float around of George W. Bush talking about the destruction of those isms. And damn it, that dummy who started all that is right.
Yeah, because I think the important thing to say here is what he did surrounding these comments that he made is definably bad for society and for culture, right? But the one thing that he didn't do was what Donald Trump has done. He never took it so far that he encouraged Americans to hate other Americans. He never took it so far that he encouraged people to be racist against immigrants, right? And I do think that that's actually important, even though, like I said, that's critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to know that two things are correct and that disagree with each other, right? So you know that on the one hand, the things that he did definitely impacted other cultures and were horrific. And the other thing that's true is that his take on immigration was pretty fucking based. You know, like, there's so many people nowadays that, you know, I don't love the dude. And that's the other thing is, like, that I think people make the mistake of believing that to agree with a person on a single topic, you must love that person, that now you support that person, that now that person is, you know, they are a great part of your ideology. And that's not always true. There's always going to be people that say things that at times sound right that are wrong. And then there's going to be people that are wrong that sometimes sound right that are right, right? Like, so if you have the people that, like, I fucking find disgusting, like the Russell Brands of the world, do I think he's never said anything that I'd be like, actually, that's true? Of course he did. So I think this is what causes people this cognitive dissonance. You know, like, you have to hate the idea because the person that gave it is a person that you hate. And people have to be very careful about that. You know, Jordan Peterson is actually, I believe he was in an ICU, but he's in bad health right now. And he's potentially might die, right? And a lot of people are going to celebrate that. And one of the things I've always told people about Jordan Peterson is I think when he went off the rails, I think he got off his medication. And I once heard, I think it was a leftist mafia, kind of critiquing his book, 12 Steps to Life. I think that book was actually good for young men. I think 12 Steps to Life was pretty simple. It was like, make your bed. It was dumb shit. But one of the funniest things about that book that always cracked me up was the part that gets critiqued the hardest and made fun of the hardest. And yes, it deserved to be made fun of because it was funny and it was a funny example, was he used lobster hierarchy to tell people pretty much, don't be mean to your wife. Don't treat your wife badly. And that's actually a solid fucking thing to say. And I might not like Jordan Peterson. I might not agree with Jordan Peterson on a fucking plethora of subjects. But saying don't treat your wife like she's the number 10 lobster. I was like, that's pretty fucking based. And then people just went off on making fun of him because he talked about lobsters. But my point is that you don't have to agree with George Bush as a human being to agree that what he had to say about immigration was good.
So it just shows you how quickly someone that was warned about at the time as being someone who was dividing the country, causing it to generate more of this racism, still had these things that he said the right way because he knew that was the basis for how many things really work in this country as far as migration goes. And so people are resharing that and talking about, man, I can't believe George W. Bush said something that sounds smart. It's because look at how quick.
Jamie, that's probably the best way I've ever heard Jordan Peterson described. Jordan Peterson talks to hear himself think out loud. Well, we'd have to say, when you say think, we would need to define what does think mean? I mean, are we talking like a substrate? Are we talking about the thinking, the neural pathways? That is probably the best way I've ever heard somebody explain Jordan Peterson.
Quickly, we've devalued intelligence, reading, education,
Fucking
and
my
reality.
friend.
Most specifically, reality in this country. the second that this guy that's in the White House now went down that escalator and went straight into those things that W was talking about. Oh, and W was breaking records for golfing all the time until Donald Trump came. Just a reminder of who W was, in case you guys see that floating around. You go, man, I can't believe W said some smart things. I was a little bit surprised too, because I remember we covered a lot on him. But let's not forget how he helped get us here. Smart stuff.
Yeah, but I think that's important to say. But I also think it's important to say there are different levels to shit. And I think that's where people get confused. People get fucked up. Is everything is always the worst when something happens, right? And, you know, I think that it's really important to remember to call things what they are. And I think it's important to not deny when something is correct just because you don't like the messenger. I don't think that that does us any good. You know, when I first started doing this a couple of years ago, I said to everybody on the left, I said, when you deny that Joe Biden is old, you're the one who looks stupid. And the argument isn't Joe Biden isn't old. That's undeniable. The argument is that Joe Biden, even though he's old, is still accomplishing more in this country domestically. This is before Israel and Gaza happened. More domestically than any president for the past 30 years, to be fucking honest with you. I mean, yeah, the man couldn't, forgive all college debt, but he did make an attempt to forgive something like $214 billion of it. The dude definitely, knew where the future of industry was going and tried to bring it back to America with semiconductor production through the CHIPS and Science Act. He steered America through what should have been a recession, and, skipped along right on the surface. Wasn't like fucking any kind of miracle, but it did keep America out of a recession during an incredibly hard time and led America out of a global pandemic, being the number one economy in the world, and had so much fucking force behind it. And it just it's all gone now because some dipshit decided to push all the chips to the middle of the table because he needs it to be about him. It's like, you got to call it what it is. And that was Joe Biden was old, and Joe Biden didn't do all those things by himself. And Joe Biden had a good administration that made a lot of those things happen. And they also made mistakes. They also did things that they shouldn't have done. But you call it what it is. You call it what it is. Okay. Let's look at the poster of Bushisms. I am sure it's still around online. Are you talking? Look, there's people out there trying to put food on their family. Shame on me. What is it? Look, you fooled me once. That's a shame on me. But you fooled me twice? Well, you just can't ever fool me again. I mean, look, we laugh at Trump, but this shit is actually scary. At least with fucking Bush. We were laughing at Bush, and most of what was going on wasn't super scary for us. For us. Yeah, that's what you can't be fooling me again. Strategy. Oh my God, strategy. Oh, the good old days. All right, let's watch the fun stuff, guys. Let's finish the show the way we've been finishing the show lately. I've got a couple videos queued for you guys. Because right now, what we really need, guys. Look, I hate politics. I have to do politics all the time. And I hate politics. Because it's just mind-blowingly dumb right now. There's, I would have definitely done better in politics when, people still had, some people still had fully functioning frontal lobes. But that's just not how it is now. So I hate doing politics. I know it's necessary to continue doing it. But as long as I live, I will remember to always keep the balance. And we're finishing the show doing what we do best. And that is laughing at shit. And I found a couple videos that I thought were amazing. So I want you guys to watch this video with me. This video is a man, guys. And it looks like he may be trying to get a snack out of the back. I'm going to guess it looks like he's driving a big rig. Because I've been in a big rig, one or two of them when I was a kid. All right. My stepdad was a truck driver. All right. It's like my white trash profile. It is very long and very well structured. This looks like the inside of a cab, and it looks like he's reaching back to get himself a snack. And I just wanted you guys to see this with me. You guys ready for this? You guys ready?
Отступил Федор Петрович. Я не знаю. Мне сказали, у вас сюда ограничение 90. Давай. Отступил Федор Петрович. Я не знаю. Мне сказали, у вас сюда
Bro, like right here is where I thought it was gonna end. This was the end for me. I was like, this is it. Like, okay, he saved himself, right? That was like an anti-gravity chamber right there. And now I know the truck's upside down at this point. But that's what it looked like. It looked like his ass was on the Gravitron at the state fair. Kind of amazing. I hope he's okay, guys. I'm only laughing, but I do hope he's okay. All right, here you guys go. This is all I needed. All right? This is all I needed to click this video right here. This is all I needed. I saw this, and I said two things. A, this is probably AI. And B, I don't care. We're watching it anyways. Anybody that's ever had children knows that this is possible. If you had children, you know this could be real. That right there, that was me on a Saturday night right there. Oil me up. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah! Nope. 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 That's you get CPS calling on you for that one. That link comes down and you are in the news, my friend. Yeah, my wife does that to me.
But you just need to relax for a few days. Who else, baby?
Literally window licking, guys. Literally window licking.
You rise up like the Undertaker. Or is it just mad?
Oh, shit! Oh. Nice! I vacuumed one of my Huskies' tails once. Oh, that's a good call. You should watch some of the ones with the new little cactus toy that's out. Okay, hold on. We gotta watch this last. We're gonna watch this one, and then we'll maybe look for the one that because this one has cats, guys. All right, we're gonna watch cats, and I'm gonna address Fantradeath. Fantradeath, I can't address that $5 right now because it's too serious for this video right now. You. Dude, I mean, that's pretty funny, but also that cat was probably in fucking pain, dude. Oh, dude. Oh, shit. Oh, dude. Holy shit. Little fun fact for you guys, because of how white trash I was growing up. At one point or another, I think my mom had like 30 or 31 cats. Oh! Oh! That guy had to walk like that because of that big ass belly, dude. Whoa! Oh shit! Okay, I do that with my cats, just so you guys know. When my cats walk in, they're like, meow. I'm like, meow, meow, meow. One day, guys. One day the cats are gonna take over, guys. One day they're gonna get their revenge. It's gonna happen. All right, I'm gonna look up the cactus videos for the next one. Silent. For the next one, I'm going to look up the cat videos for the next live stream. All right. Okay, let's. I have to address Fantradeath. Thank you for the $5, Fantradeath. Actually, you gave me $2 early, and I didn't get that one either. First of all, thank you for the $2, Fantradeath, for saying Tammy Faye Lauren. More plastic than Cher. She got the Mar-a-Lago makeover. That's what somebody told me. It's so weird. Like, look. Tammy's not the smartest human being, guys. All right, but Tammy was a pretty girl. She was not a bad-looking young woman. Okay, I say that. I'm willing to go there. All right. Now, once again, what do these people do to themselves? Why do they join Trump and then just they literally disfigure themselves? They sit here and cry and complain all the fucking time about how the transgenders, they're doing these things, and then they literally change their faces. It's fucking insane. Also, if you don't know why I call her Tammy, look up Tommy Loren and Well, Whale. He's a UK rapper. This goes back to when she was with Glenn Beck, I believe. Not with him, but on his show or whatever. Also, thank you for the $5, Fantradeath. Ever since the end of segregation, the Republican agenda has been to end public schooling. They chip away at the system a little bit more every year. And why do they do that, Fantradeath? Why do they do that?
I love the poorly educated.
Because he loves the poorly educated, guys. All right, guys. It's been a fun night. Had a good time with you guys. Thank you for being here. I missed you guys on Thursday, to tell you the truth. I mean, I was having a good time, but I did miss you guys on Thursday. So I appreciate the shit out of every one of you. Thank you guys for hanging out with me all the time, making this really difficult time, to be honest with you, a much easier time. So I just want to say thank you. I want to say I appreciate you guys, and I hope to see you guys next Wednesday.